All right, everybody. Welcome to 2025 Hoffle NASCAR Podcast. My name is Taylor, and my favorite driver is William Byron, and that's my current favorite driver. And my favorite driver ever is Jeff Gordon, so big 24 lineage. And we're also here with Uriel and Wiley. Introduce yourselves and your favorite driver and how you got into NASCAR.
My name's Uriel, as Taylor said. I'm currently a Daniel Suarez fan, but I grew up a Gordon fan. And I've been into NASCAR since 2011. I went to my first race in 2010. Got to see, I nearly missed the opportunity to see Carl Edwards absolutely nuke Brad Keselowski come like 3 to go at Atlanta, but we left early that day. I was like 5. And then the race that got me hooked was the following year as a Gordon fan, getting to see him win in person and just seeing one of the all-time classic battles got me. Even at the time, I was like, "This is awesome," and I've been into it ever since. So I've seen a good chunk. I'm in my 20s now, and I've been a fan since I was like 6. So it's most of my life, 6, 7.
You gotta beat the traffic, man. You gotta beat the traffic.
Yeah, something like that.
Even if you miss the flips, you gotta miss the traffic sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm Wiley. My favorite driver is Chase Elliott, formerly a Joey Logano fan. The first race I ever went to was an Atlanta race somewhere around 2015, 2016, and he won. Logano did. So that's what made me a Logano fan for a little bit. I like the noise. I like the cars. I'm a Chevy guy, and been following NASCAR pretty closely for the last 7 or 8 years.
Formerly Logano fan.
I can't handle the BS. Okay, I can't get behind someone like a couple of his championships. Yeah, was deserved, but the last one, I just can't. He just showed up at Phoenix, and
yeah. Dude, I always thought it was the craziest thing that you were an Elliott and a Logano fan. That's like if the Empire and the Rebellion teamed up.
I don't know. I liked the old Bill Elliott tapes and recordings and racing. So call it a bandwagon. I've met Bill Elliott in real life. My grandfather's a huge Chase Elliott, Bill Elliott fan. So Chevy guy. And then when they made the move to the Camaro, I was like, I got to pick somebody who runs in Camaro to kind of jump on. So yeah, I also like the paint job. Sue me.
Hell yeah.
My little brother got to go to the Charlotte Roval this year and hang out with Chris Buescher. I'm still mad I missed out on that. Yeah, I've got a signed Travel Centers hat from him, so it was pretty cool.
He won that.
No, he didn't.
No.
He didn't win the Roval. He won the Glen that year.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who won that race. It must have been a Toyota.
No, that was
last year.
Allmendinger won 23.
124.
We are imposters.
Hold on, no. I remember Suarez had brake problems. I think it wasn't Christopher Bell. It could have been. I think it's Carl Larson. I think Carl Larson checks out.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was gonna say it must have been a Toyota because those are the only winners I really don't pay attention to. But
Hey, look, let me verify. Ooh,
them cheating Yoders.
it's not even that. I just don't like Toyota. It's like Camaro, Mustang, fucking.
I called it.
Yeah,
I called it. It was in fact Carl Larson.
Dude, I can't wait till Dodge comes back in NASCAR.
I saw that photo about Darlington. About like the hauler pulling into Darlington. That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess trucks next year they're predicting, and then Cup 27.
That'd be cool to get a third American OEM in there.
Yeah, bring it back. Run that back. I was gonna say.
And if we can get Honda, that's 5.
I think Honda's too ambitious, unless they leave IndyCar, because I know they're about to.
Honda. The only thing I can see being a barrier to Honda is they don't. Unless I'm mistaken, they don't make anything on the production line that uses the V8. I don't think. I could be wrong.
Nor does
But then
Toyota.
I recall in 2023 Richmond or 2024 Richmond, the one that Hamlin jumped the restart on. I think it was 24, right? It was 24. It was 24. I heard there was a rumor that apparently he had they put in some sensor on Truex's car or something. I forgot what it was called, but they use it in prototypes, which have different engine formulas and they run like competitively still. And I think they're trying to I forgot what this thing is called, but there's a certain part.
Yeah, they were trying. What was the term? It's like
They were testing. I guess they were testing out the part itself to see if it was
torque
possible
sensor.
to Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah,
And then they were planning so that they'd be open to try out more new engine formulas.
yeah, that'd be sick. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. I guess we'll move on to. So the first topic is just in general. What have you thought of the season so far? What has surprised you? What have you enjoyed, and what have you not enjoyed so far?
So the first thing, this hasn't been so prevalent lately, but early in the season, the caution flag controversy, the inconsistency that NASCAR kind of had, and they've maybe seemed to figure it out, or there hasn't been a need to have a caution late in the race lately. But yeah, that was first couple races. I didn't really enjoy that. I thought the inconsistency was just a little confusing and not super entertaining as a fan from a fan standpoint.
Yeah, I kind of liked it when they didn't throw the cautions. Honestly,
It's a tricky situation when you have to consider with the safety and stuff. I don't really have a strong opinion on either side. Because it's like I think we should have plans in place depending on the severity of the wreck and the location of the track where it's at. But it just I don't know. They tend to go by case, and it's really silly.
yeah,
One thing that's really annoyed me is probably still the lack of a fix for a short track package and the underwhelming road course package. I know some people like to say that it's improved, and I mean you can make that argument, but we're at a point where there's multiple problems that we can either attempt to fix. We can either make the tires skinnier, or you could you could up the horsepower, but it's all in the power of the RTA and it's all in the power of the OEM. So it's difficult to make stuff like that happen. Because I know a lot of people like to bog down NASCAR about, hey, they're the ones bringing down the horsepower. But this is also an agreement with the RTA, which is the Race Teams Alliance, which like a bunch of prevalent NASCAR teams are a part of. And then we also have the OEMs as well to appease. And then I think this year I've been more fed up with the car with the next gen as I've done compared to previous years. I think the quality control issues are still somewhat of a problem, and problems that were never problems are now problems. Like I mean, everyone's talked about how cars can get stuck, or when you spin out, you need a tow and you lose 2 laps. Any other generation of car that doesn't happen. Or we could also talk about one annoying thing for me is I know I shouldn't. This isn't the most accurate source, but I saw a tweet about somehow, some way, a lot of the downforce of the next gen is primarily relied on the underbody and the diffuser of the car, and which is also another part of the problem why you don't see drivers getting loose or struggling on the short tracks because it's just planted on the rear.
yeah,
And there's a bunch of other underlying issues. I've heard people say that it's around 60% of the downforce is made up solely off of the diffuser and the underbody.
really.
I do not quote me on that because I'm not entirely sure if that's true.
That sounds like something I've heard. Where when the next gen car was first implemented a couple of years ago, they were making a change from I forget the term they use, but the downforce that comes from the over the top aerodynamics of the body, they wanted to make it so that more downforce came from under it and from the suspension and tires. So that's definitely something I've heard or seen around.
I remember when I was younger, actually. I remember I was like, I don't know if you guys know the YouTuber Drift Dog. He made like a What If Dale Earnhardt Was Still Alive series, and he used NR 2003 a lot. And I remember being in his Discord server and talking about it with some people. I was like, I had immediately saw it was like, this is like the first shots of the next gen. 2019 Richmond. It had like a dazzle camouflage or like some checkered pattern, just to like you know how military ships tend to use like that kind of camo to make sure it's to make it difficult for the enemy to see how fast they're going and stuff like that. It's a similar case there, and I just remember seeing the diffuser, and I was like, this is just gonna create a bigger problem for the racing product. And I was saying the stuff like 6 years ago. And it's crazy. That's what I said such a long time ago is coming to fruition now.
Yeah. To my memory, they were trying to eliminate dirty air by that, but it didn't really end up doing that.
No, it didn't. I remember that too.
It feels like we're still in the 550 package where aero block is still very prevalent. I'm well aware and I fully understand that dirty air is and will always be a thing. That's just physics, right? But
yeah,
the way that they've gone about it to try to reduce it has not worked out, to put it nicely.
Yeah, no, I will say I think a lot of the issue this year has been with the tire compound in Goodyear's. I've seen some people talk about the Goodyear developing the tire compound, just because this year, at least from what I've noticed, the racing has fallen off from last year, and I think even last year was maybe an improvement from the year before, but especially this year, I feel like there hasn't been a whole lot of, at least towards the front of the pack, and what they'll show on the broadcast, there hasn't been a whole lot of, I want to say competitive switching, I guess, when you, like it, say at Kansas last year, probably the best race that they had last year, and I know it may not be the best benchmark for the whole season, but at least for the first 10 to 20 laps, Chastain and Larson were able to kind of fight and, switch back on each other for the position for a while, and I feel like drivers just haven't been able to do that this year.
I was saying like crossing over, basically.
We have crossing over and just fighting in general.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's that, and I think a lot of things, like something that a lot of people are not equating into this is the fact that a lot of teams, they're figuring out like how to run the Gen 7 car. Like, for example, Chase Elliott, I think he's one of the drivers in one of the teams that hasn't, honestly, and a lot of teams are, and I think we're kind of moving back to what we saw with the Gen 6, just because, I mean, the best teams with the most money are just going to come to the top.
I think another problem is having SMT data. Well, I heard it's not called SMT data formally anymore. It's just called the data now, apparently formally, but everyone still calls it SMT. Everyone has access to everybody's lift-off points and brake points and the points when they get off the throttle and whatnot. In essence, also, you're not only having the same cars, but you also have the same drivers in essence, where everyone tries to copy the fastest line. That again adds to the problem of aero blocking and stuff like that and dirty air, which are still very prevalent problems.
Yeah, well, I'm just really glad that everybody in the industry is talking about it, and they're going to do something about it. Let's see, favorite moment from 2025 and least favorite moment for me. I'm going to say probably it's two things that happened in very close proximity. So, Josh Berry winning Las Vegas was awesome. And then that was when Christopher Bell's 3-in-a-row streak ended. And just kind of tracking that and just kind of thinking, oh, is he going to do 4 in a row? Is he going to win 7 in a row? Some kind of thing like that. Just that excitement was really cool. So those two things kind of together are my favorite.
I'm going to say... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, all right. My favorite moment for me was also Vegas. Being able to see Suarez run well. I mean, there was some strategy involved. There was some 2-tire calls. There's times where he took 2 tires and everyone else took 4, and he was fighting off on the restarts. But it was nice to see him run really well. And although it's been a difficult year, being a Suarez fan, especially this year, trust me, there's a lot of moments. But I think that was a really bright spot for me.
He's P2, right?
He finished second, yeah. He got I think he had like a looser condition towards the end of that run, or on that last restart, and Barry just got the better of him. Which I'm happy to see Barry win. Don't get me wrong. I remember seeing him lead laps at Richmond in the Xfinity Series in 2015, and I was like, man, he's a cool guy. And then he just disappeared from the NASCAR sphere for a few years, and then he comes back in 21.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to see him do well. Truly, I'm happy that he got that win. Definitely needed. I think he's definitely more on the map now than he used to be, and I'm happy for it.
All right. So I'm gonna say first the Coda race this year, kind of the closing laps. I liked the fight there. I believe it was Bell and Busch going at it, and SPG trying to make a run back up towards the front. Kind of unfortunate what happened to Chase Elliott, but he managed a P4 finish. Connor Zilic as well. I know he got crashed out, but I loved seeing him run in the Cup Series. And then my second moment I'd probably say was the Clash. And not even just because Chase Elliott won, I'd say that kind of yielded some good racing and some good passing. Like the Denny Hamlin in stage 2 and Ryan Blaney kind of making his way up from the back was really fun to watch that whole race.
Yeah, well, real quick, least favorite moment, go real fast for this one. So least favorite was probably Talladega. I went all the way to Alabama. I watched the race in person, and I go see Austin Cindric win. And that's all. I got an Austin Cindric freaking win. I went to Daytona for the Daytona 500 in 22. I saw Austin Cindric win. I've seen 2/3 of his freaking wins. So, I mean, Dega was a pretty cool race, but also pre-spot disqualified, so that's also why it's my least favorite.
Yeah, bro.
I honestly argue Talladega as well. I think that's another problem with this car. My goodness, I'm noticing a trend here. I think, especially with the inability to make runs and make a third lane, it makes it very hard to make a move in general. Because I mean, in all fairness to the people behind the Fords, behind the Prius, and behind Cindric, right? I mean, it doesn't if you try to make a move on the outside, the run dies immediately. It probably has to do with how jagged these cars are from underneath, but yeah, it's just disappointing to not the drivers want to make a move, but they just can't, and they don't. Well, they could, but it just doesn't. It would never materialize, and they would just go straight to the rear. So it's just it doesn't make any sense to make a move in the first place, which I think is very frustrating. Because the beauty of the super speeder races like that is to generate runs, work with the right people, make split-second decisions. I mean, we've described it as chess at 200 miles an hour, and right now it's just more follow the leader. So
I'm gonna be different here. I'm gonna say that I think Kansas was my least favorite moment just in general this season because I was excited for it. Kind of been some not super entertaining races coming up to it, and it just hadn't been the same as it was the last couple of years, and that kind of goes back to I think the tires and the package. It didn't yield. You feel free to disagree with me. I don't think it yielded just as good of racing as it did in the last couple of years. I was watching, waiting for something to happen, and it just never did. So that was my most disappointing thing of the year so far.
Can't disagree. I can't disagree entirely, honestly. I mean, I like to think back to the 23 Kansas race in the spring. I think the finish was spectacular. I mean, there's no denying that. Stage 1 was also had really good racing, but I remember it kind of phasing out, similar to what Wiley was saying throughout stage 2 and a good chunk of stage 3. But I mean, I think it also depends on the broadcast and stuff, because I think Fox hasn't done a great job in the last few years to present the races.
Yeah, and Larson Stinkfest is doesn't help either, even though it's still cool to see. So moving on, what drivers and teams do you think are trending down, and which ones are trending up? To me, I think everybody's trending up. I mean, honestly, Colleague with Ty Dillon, front row, Spire, of course. Spire is, I think, one of the most interesting teams right now. RFK, despite not really penalties and bad luck and everything, I think they're passing the eye test. I think the only team trending down right now is Rick Ware Racing with Cody Ware. because they were making some pretty good progress with Casbrala and who was it, Justin Haley last year, and like this is the most blatant, most embarrassing form of nepotism I think I've ever seen.
Andy, he got accused of like domestic violence and stuff. Like, why is he in the car? I thought he was supposed to be suspended indefinitely. So I think he's kind of dragging him down. So I agree with Ware, definitely.
I'm going to disagree here. Although Rick Ware has trended down, the thing is, what made Rick Ware so much better last year was when they had Justin Haley in the car. He, in essence, was like a pseudo third RFK car, and that's why they were. Although his runs weren't although where his finishing positions and his innings weren't best, they were still times where he could muscle the Rick Ware car up front, and that was when Justin Haley was within the team, and again, he had that pseudo. He in essence had like that third RFK car, similar to what Custer has right now as the Haas factory team.
So they're not anymore?
They're not anymore. As soon as Haley jumped ship back to Spire, everything's gone back to normal for Rick Ware.
I mean,
that's what I've understood, but
my counter to that would be, how would we know? Because Haley's not in the car anymore.
Haley's not in the car anymore, and the performance is down again. So I don't know. And I mean, you could even see it. You could see for a brief moment. I think, like after LaJoy left, everything kind of just dissipated, and then you don't go from running decently well as a Rick Ware car to going back to the way things were. I recall there was something in his contract about it, but I'm not entirely sure. But after he left Fire, that's what happened. That's what I've been told, and that's what I've understood, and it makes sense because I mean, how else would the performance just fall off shortly after he leaves? But another team for me that I think seems to be trending down is Trackhouse. I'm not going to lie to you. Although Chastain's back on form compared to last year. I mean, Chastain's always been on form, but I know last year he missed the playoffs because a bunch of people outside the top 16 made it out. But I've just noticed like a steady decline from 2022. I know Kevin Harvick touched on it in his podcast. I'm not exactly sure what could be the cause of that. I know Eric Estep touched on the topic about ECR and Hendrick engines. Although they merged their programs and they're sharing notes or whatever, I think you can see a discrepancy between cars coming from the Hendrick shop as opposed to engines coming from the ECR shop. I mean, the two teams that have Hendrick engines right now are Spire and Hendrick. Trackhouse, Colleague, and RCR all have ECR engines. And I mean, Trackhouse is a far cry from what it was 3 years ago. And I've heard that I've heard cases where apparently expanding the two cars is actually more financially liable, or not financially liable. I've been told by some people who have friends in the industry that it's better to run two cars than one car, but don't quote me on that either. I heard from a few friends that have connections in there, but I don't have a source on that, so don't quote me on that. But I think Trackhouse. What'd you say?
I think it's just resources. I mean, they're devoting a lot of money and time to SVG right now, and he's really not doing anything. So I think the performance going down on the 99 and the 1, and honestly, they're still performing decent, both of them. It's just comparatively, and I think maybe some of that could be contributed to SVG being there.
I don't know. I think I mean, you could even tell in 23 and 24 they weren't the same what they used to be when they were in 22.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if expanding was necessarily the move either, but well, I mean, we'll see. I know a lot of people that I know would prefer that once Dodge comes in, that maybe they could switch over to Dodge and they'd be a lot more favored on like the hierarchy compared to where they are at Chevrolet right now. But I think it's all speculation at this point. I think even some of the stuff that I've been saying is speculation. So don't take this as gospel.
So I'm gonna make it quick here, but I think Wood Brothers trending up. Josh Berry, great hire. Not to talk crap on Harrison Burton, but Josh Berry, what he's done the last couple races, he's won a race. He's been top 10 a couple times. He led at, I believe that was Darlington. He was leading at with that awesome throwback scheme, the Lotus. That was great. He's led races. He's been up front. I think Wood Brothers trending up, trending down. I think the only one I can really think of would maybe be RFK, just because of they've had bad luck this year. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe not. I can't really think of anybody that's noticeably trending down. But yeah, just the thing with RFK, their luck has not been great this year. Brad Keselowski on the pole for the All-Star race, not a points race. A good look for them, but other than the Ryan Preece P2 finish at Talladega that was kind of stripped, that's really the only time I can remember seeing one of their cars competing. Maybe Atlanta, but that's it.
Brad Keselowski at Kansas up until he had a wreck, but yeah.
Check race for a while there.
Never mind then.
Yeah. So Kyle Larson, thoughts on the 1100 double attempt and potential for other drivers such as IndyCar drivers like Joseph Newgarden to run the double. For me, I think it's the coolest freaking thing. And honestly, Motorsports Christmas going away with Monaco moving, I think is going to be super sad. And the fact that Kyle Larson is not going to do the double after that, at least not that we know of, is kind of unfortunate. I think we should have like tons of people doing it like they did back in the day, like Tony Stewart, Robbie Gordon, plus, all kind of people. Freaking John Andretti. Yeah.
Yep.
But we don't really do. I mean, the last time was like 2014. It was super long time. Yeah. So I think it's just the awesomest thing. And yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. The drivers want to do that. Kyle Larson kind of is a really good candidate for that, just because of his ability to kind of go from car to car to car and do things like that. Like the dirt cars, the late models, I know he's been known to race in those. The cup cars, he does Xfinity. He did well last year until he had that pit road penalty in Indy, and yeah, I think that should be a good indicator for some drivers to go do it. Like I think Christopher Bell would probably be pretty good at it. I think maybe Kyle Busch. I know he's not had the greatest season, but I think he's talked about maybe wanting to do it before. So yeah, I think this is a good thing to maybe inspire some other drivers to give it a shot.
I agree. One interesting thing about Kyle Busch actually, he was slated to run the double in 24 actually, but he got the green light from RC. This is all from his words on Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin like a week or two ago. He talked about how he actually had 2 opportunities. I think at one point it was during this time at Gibbs. Chevy said yes, Toyota said yes. I think his sponsor said yes, M&M said yes, but Joe Gibbs said no. So that's what killed that first attempt. And then the second attempt was 24, where he said yes. RC obviously approved it. I mean, he let Robbie Gordon do it previously, and the only problem was the sponsor didn't want to buy the car for them, and that's when Larson and Hendrick came in and swooped in and got it. So that's that.
Yeah, dude, it's so sad. I was on a jog and I was listening to it, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Like he actually was approved to do it.
I'm a big fan of it, though. I'm a big fan of the double. I think I have a lot of respect for people who are very successful in their discipline of motorsport. It's a very difficult thing to be elite at one discipline. But to me, I have so much more respect for drivers that not only go out of their comfort zone but do well at it. I think there's a lot more. I like people like Juan Pablo Montoya, Fernando Alonso deserve a lot more respect than people who have just stuck to their respective disciplines, in my opinion. In terms of like, a lot of people like to debate about the greatest driver of all time or the greatest driver in the world. I have way more respect for people who aren't afraid to try different things about it. So, and that's why I know this is a very controversial topic, but I hold a lot more value to Kyle Larson than Max Verstappen. Of course, Max Verstappen, elite driver. Don't get it twisted. I think if he got out of a Formula One car, give him some time, he'd get to grips. Obviously, I know a lot of people. I know it's a very controversial topic, but I think most drivers, if you just give them a time in a certain category, they'll be able to perform somewhat at that level eventually. Although not all drivers can adapt the same. I mean, look at Montoya, multiple 7-time Formula One winner, should have been a world champion had he had a better character. I'd argue. I know some people had problems with his character during his time there. Was successful in IndyCar. I think he was a 2-time IndyCar champion. Won the 500 twice, that's for sure. And even won a few races in IMSA. I don't think he ever got a Rolex. I know he has an in-class Le Mans win with Dragon Speed in LMP2, I think. Do not quote me on that. But it's kind of ironic. He was the least successful in NASCAR out of all of those categories. He only mustered 2 wins in like 7 years and never got a win on an oval.
But he's still.
I mean, if you look at Kimi Räikkönen, a couple races he ran in Project 91 a couple years ago, I think the highest he was top 15, and he's an F1 world champion. So I think some platforms just suit driving styles better than others do. I think that's maybe the best explanation there.
Yeah,
I like to use.
JJ Yeley never won in Cup, and he's a 2009
USAC champion, right?
world champion. No, he's a Formula One world champion. JJ Yeley.
Oh, I heard you said JJ Yeley.
Yeah, he's the 2009 Formula One champion.
Okay.
You never saw the Fox goof up?
Never seen the Fox goof up. Did they seriously say? Oh my gosh! There's no way.
Yeah, they put JJ Yeley as a 2009 F1 champion.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that was funny.
I think I don't know. I guess I'm not gonna sit here and say Kyle Larson's better than Max Verstappen. I'm not gonna sit here and say Max Verstappen's better than Kyle Larson. But I have a lot more respect towards Larson, who has done dirt cars, who was a Rolex watch from winning the Rolex 24, and he's similar to Jim Clark. A lot of people like to talk highly about Jim Clark because he ran like 40, 50, 60 races in 1 year. Kyle Larson does the same thing with sprint car racing and Cup racing, and now IndyCar. So I know it's gonna ruffle some feathers, but that's what I think. Although I hate how he trips himself up every time, because every time he messes up now, people like to talk about, oh, this is the greatest driver in the world, by the way, better than Max Verstappen, by the way, and it's just, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. Fair point.
I don't hear it. I ain't listening to that. Kyle Larson's number one, baby. Kyle Larson, number one.
Yeah, my thing with that is there's a pretty big difference in, one, the cost of the cars in Formula One and NASCAR, and two, the way that you compete, and especially with the playoffs, which I won't get into it right now. But once you've got your win, you're locked in. So the way, at least I've seen it, is drivers tend to just race more aggressively when they have a chance to win, and that type of thing breeds accidents. That's what happens, I think, most of the time when Larson will brush a wall or spin out. And I know there's some times where that doesn't happen, but in F1, at least as far as I'm concerned, you need to consistently be finishing races to have a good shot at the championship. You need to stay in the race, and those cars are way more expensive, at least from what I understand. So I can just, my opinion on he messed up, this is your greatest driver. It's a different sport. The points work differently and the costs are different. So there's a little bit more worth the risk of sending it a little too hard, so to speak.
Yeah, he's definitely checkers your records. So the next thing we got to get to is thoughts on the current NASCAR schedule, the prospective 2026 schedule. There's Concrete Bristol, obviously. I mean, this is obviously since last year. We never got to talk about it since we didn't do the podcast last year. But Bristol Dirt's gone, obviously. Talladega in the round of 8. That's a new thing. Chicago Street Course may not come back going forward. New Hampshire and Gateway in the playoffs, which is weird to me. Roval and as well. Talks of that going away, and Homestead as the finale, which is the huge thing. And then rotating finale after that. Of course, Brickyard 400 back again. So what do you guys think about that stuff?
I missed the dirt race. Sue me. I missed the dirt race because there was not one time that I can remember where something entertaining didn't happen during that race. Like the first one I can remember is the Kyle Busch win. I don't remember what year that was, but the two, I think it was Reddick and somebody else. It might have been Briscoe. Reddick and Briscoe spinning behind Kyle Busch, racing for the win, and Kyle stealing it. The year where I believe Bell won that year, where Larson was up front, and I think he spun and he was working his way back up through the field, and Briscoe, I think him and Briscoe got into it that first time, and he was running Bell down towards the end, and I think that was a good finish. I liked watching the cars sideways. It's something different during the season. I miss it. I thought the slide jobs were cool, and I know you can do that on some of the short tracks now on concrete. But yeah, I liked the racing. I kind of miss it. I wish it would come back, maybe for kind of an exhibitionary race. But yeah, I'll just talk that about Bristol Dirt.
We need a dirt in NASCAR. Period. Like, we have the most diverse racing schedule on planet Earth. We need a dirt race. Eldora is where we should go.
I'm not the biggest fan of the dirt race. No, I'm not the elephant in the room with this kind of thing, right? I do like the idea of having dirt races for like trucks and like just trucks. Honestly, I think like 2013, it was really nice to have the Mud Summer Classic at Eldora. Truthfully, I don't think we're gonna get that opportunity back because I think Tony Stewart and NASCAR have a very strained relationship as at the moment, and I don't see Tony Stewart reaching out, understandably, and I don't see NASCAR reaching out. So, I'm more of the belief that Richard Petty also had, that we left that behind when we got into the modern era, which a lot of people consider it to be 1972. Most of the dirt tracks had been phased out at that point, and we had raced on pavement for almost half a century. Let me think, 40 years, 72 to 2020. That's almost 50 years. That's more than two. That's almost, at the time, that was more than 2/3 of the history of the sport, racing on dirt. Or maybe it's a little less, but you got the gist. I'm not a big fan of dirt for the Cup Series. I do like the idea of it for trucks. I think Eldora, like as we mentioned, was a perfect place for it. I think that's about it. I don't know how to feel about Chicago being gone. Kind of just, I think it had its own. It had some sense of luster, but I think what turns me away from that race completely is the fact that it's on 4th of July. It does not sit right with me that we are racing on 4th of July weekend and it's not at Daytona. I know the package is bleak in a lot of places, but I think we should always run 4th of July weekend at Daytona. Also, a nice little tidbit. Although I'm not a big fan of dirt in the Cup Series, I think given the current car and the current package we have, I would take a dirt race over a pavement race at Bristol right now. So I can't wholeheartedly blame you, unless it's freezing. Unless it's freezing outside, like it was in spring of 24. There's no reason we should be running Bristol on pavement.
And yeah, Bristol on pavement because was it was a little disappointing. I couldn't lie.
It's especially the night races, man. It wasn't a crown jewel, but it was always an iconic race because you would see tempers flare under the lights, and you would have people sending it maybe a little too hard or roughing each other up. Tempers flaring. I think, in the words of Karen Harvick, bent fenders hurt feelings. I love it, but we just lost a lot of that with this current car.
On Chicago, I think it was fun for a couple years. And it's hard to maybe put this, but I think the first year most of the flair was SVG. Like, I'm just going to put it there because Justin Haley being in second, Chase Elliott being in third. I think maybe Christopher Bell was in fourth. I can't remember, but that was all on pit strategy. Those tires, at least that first year, I know it was a washout first year, and I think it was raining the second year too. But it's just, On a race where you win on pit strategy alone and you can't overtake, those Cup cars are pretty wide. They're wider than the Gen 6 for sure. There wasn't a whole lot of overtaking. The only one that was doing that really was SVG with, I think he had something nuts, like 14 positions in the last 20, 30 laps was just wild. And I think that was the main flare that first year. And then the second year, I had problems staying entertained or watching it. Bowman was a cool winner for that race, but again, I saw more of nobody could overtake. The overtaking was based on pit strategy, and I don't. In a race like that, especially with Chicago, I think you should save that kind of date for something new you do every year. Like the Mexico City this year is going to be cool. Would be cool for that date, and I think every year you should just save a date to do something different than you have not done.
Thoughts on the rotating finale? What would be the best place to host a championship? Like, where are you most excited for it to be at?
Miami, I'm really glad it's back at Miami. I like the road courses. Not a lot of people agree with that. I would love a finale at Watkins Glen. That would never ever happen, but I would love to see it.
Oh my gosh. It'd be great. It'd be cold.
It would be cold. I would love to see it. I like watching the road course races, so I'd love to see one at a road course. Maybe not even just Glen, but one of those would be cool.
Sonoma.
I heard NASCAR said that they weren't going to consider super speedways or road courses for the season finale. But me personally, I don't think it should be rotational. I think it should just be at Homestead. Point blank. Period. We had a good thing. There was no reason to change it. Why fix something that was never needed to be fixed?
Especially with this
The only place that I would contest for Homestead was Atlanta, but this is pre repave Atlanta. So this is when it was still an aging mile and a half, and it hadn't been converted to have this drafting style, as we call it now. I think we call it a drafting race now. It's really weird, but it's basically a plate race.
Like
So I don't like Atlanta as much as I used to because I missed proper intermediate racing. So if Atlanta was a proper intermediate track, I would very much contest that to be the finale because it used to be the finale prior to Homestead. But given the shape of Atlanta right now, to me the only viable option is Homestead. I've heard rumors that they might throw Chicagoland into the rotation, but I think that should be a permanent race in the calendar, but on the schedule as well. But it is what it is.
They need to do that.
I think Charlotte could be fun. Charlotte would be maybe a fun 1 year thing. It's closer to that intermediate than Atlanta is. I know it's the sister track and it's a little quicker, but I think that could be a fun one. And then if this car can get figured out, Kansas would be a fun one, which that probably won't happen either, but that would be fun.
It'd be difficult to justify a race in the heartland, would you consider that the Midwest?
Yeah, it would be really cold again.
Yeah, I think Homestead is the perfect location given the states of the other tracks and what they're in. Charlotte's not bad, but I was always been a sucker for Charlotte having two oval races, one in the playoffs, which was the Bank of America 500, and the 600, of course.
Yeah, I respect that, man. And Wiley, if you gotta go soon, man, I think we can maybe fast forward to picks real quick, and maybe me and Uriel can get the rest of the stuff when you're out of here.
All right, yeah, I appreciate that.
All right, real quick. Let's see. So, do you guys have like the 16 driver playoff prediction? Did y'all get to that? If not, we can fast forward past that because that's going to take us a minute, and then I don't know. Maybe we can.
It's so hard to predict it, man. I mean, and I think it's difficult to predict that right now because it's like we're already a quarter of the way season. We know how people are performing. We're about halfway through. We're almost halfway through the playoffs or to the regular season. So it's I think it would be. I wouldn't say it's cheating, but I mean you got a head start on everyone else who predicted it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess some key people is, I mean, I think SVG is going to make it. I think Kyle Busch is out for blood. I think he's going to make it. And Ryan Preece and Bubba Wallace, I think they're going to get in. Chase Briscoe, I think he's going to win too.
I hope Chase Elliott gets one. The only races I can really see him getting would be something at Daytona, or maybe he really hadn't been great at the Glen lately, or a road course, maybe Charlotte Roval. But I hope he gets one. He would be on the bottom. He would definitely be in on points. Let's see who else. And then Blaney. I think Blaney's going to get one. He's just had terrible luck. He's going to get one if one of his engines can keep him to the end of the race. He'll get one. And then I agree on Bubba Wallace. I agree on Briscoe. Briscoe's been up front and been solid this year. Happy to see Josh Berry in it. Glad for him. I think Bowman will get one. I think Bowman will get one this year. Towards the end, it'll be
What about Buescher? What you think about Buescher? You think with the penalty he's still going to get in?
I think so. I think he runs solid, and I think he's shown that he can come at the end of the season and execute and win races like at the Glen last year. He outraced SVG, which was amazing to watch. And then a couple years ago when he had his 3-win season at Michigan, I can't remember what the other two were, but yeah, I think he'll get in.
All right, quick Champ 4 picks. What you got? I got Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe.
All right, let me do Larson, Bell, Byron, and Hamlin. I don't think Elliott makes it. He's just not had it this year.
I'm gonna have to do this for the bit, and this makes me slightly miserable.
Greg Biffle? You think Greg Biffle's going to make the Champ 4 this year?
No, I didn't say that.
You think Cody Ware's gonna make it?
No, I think I
Cody
feel like,
Ware, 2025 champion.
Honestly, bro, I wouldn't be surprised if Logano makes it again, bro. I don't care if it's an odd year, bro. This guy just somehow, some way. I know, maybe not since it's an odd year. I'll let him slide. I think Blaney's gonna make it. Honestly, now that Larson's actually gonna be running the full season, or should be running the full season now compared to last year. I don't know if the playoff points made a difference had he won the regular season championship last year, but I'd say he'll make it this year. I think Larson will make it this year. I think Larson and Blaney will make it. I can see Reddick turning on the Jets at the right time. Honestly, I know he hasn't been running the best comparatively to last year, but he's still up there. And they're 2311 has a good group of guys, and they have a good driver. So, and then for the fourth and final pick, it's got to be something stupid, dude. It's got to be some stupid pick because that's just how the playoffs work now, man.
Alex Bowman. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, honestly, that's not the most outlandish one. I was saying maybe Ross Chastain. I mean, given how the system is, bro, it's so inconsistent, bro. Because I mean, take away that Alex Bowman disqualification, Logano will become champion, and we could then everyone's already talked about the problems with the system. We don't need to really get into it. I'm sure most people have a very good understanding of that.
Yeah. All right. So, who's champion? Who's the champ? Denny Hamlin. It's his year. I'm going Denny. I'm not a Toyota guy, but Denny Hamlin. I'm just gonna go. I feel like it.
I think it's another Larson year. I think Larson takes it. He's been really good this year. Kind of something he didn't have last year was some, or maybe he did. I can't remember super well, but he's definitely performed better early season this year. He's performed better over the summer. All he's got to do is kind of close it out with a win, a couple consistent finishes towards the end, and he performs well at Miami. He's good at running the wall, so I think he takes it. Well, it's not me.
Phoenix. I'll take out Reddick actually. I'll take out Chastain. I'll put in Bell for Chastain actually. I think it's so common. It's so easy to put it just in a random guy, but I think honestly it's gonna be Larson, Bell, Blaney, and whatchamacallit, Reddick. But I think it's gonna be Blaney. I don't know. It's I'm just following with the trend, man.
Yeah,
last few years, the Fords. I mean, I don't know if you remember this, Taylor. I remember early like the week of Phoenix in 23, you asked me, "Oh yeah, who's gonna win the title?" And I was like, "It's gonna be Blaney, bro. It's gonna be Blaney." And it happened. And
I don't remember you saying that though.
yeah, we can go
Did
through
you
our
really
Instagram
say that?
DMs, bro. I did. I legitimately was like, hold on, let me go through our DMs on
Wait,
Instagram.
was this right before the finale?
This is like the week before the finale, yeah.
Okay, I said Blaney too. I was thinking maybe you told me that long before that. I was thinking like, no way, because he was doing really bad at the start of that year. But I think I do recall you saying that later. I think a lot of people are on the Blaney bandwagon, honestly.
I just feel bad for him. Just a good trend this year has been he's just gotten close and it's three separate times the engine is just blown up, which sucks. I hate that for him.
Yeah, but he's still like, what is he, like sixth in points or something like that? Like,
Yeah, he's still solid. If his engine had just hung on, he would have 2-3 wins by now.
yeah, for sure. Like, I think he's eighth, I want to say, in points, even with that.
Blaney's fifth.
Like,
Blaney's fifth.
what? Oh,
Yeah.
Winston. I mean, in playoffs, but yeah, still.
Oh, playoffs? Oh yeah, playoffs is down in ninth, bro. Technically, I guess, apparently. Oh, because Chase Elliott would get a lot of regular season points for like the regular season championship, then he'd be seated higher technically than Blaney, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's an all-star for sure. Well, so Wiley, you gotta get out of here, man.
Yeah, I do. Gotta get some shopping and some chores done. But yeah, it's good to see y'all. And, see y'all around if we want to do it again.
Yes,
Hey, brother.
sir.
Peace.
Peace, man. All right. I guess if you want, Uriel, we can go back to where we were before we jumped to the pit. That we were talking about that I skipped to go to the Larson topic, but packaging the race car, what can be done to make it better? We kind of touched on it a little bit before, but to me, I think for me, obviously, it's a combination, like tires, horsepower, and obviously downforce and the underbody. I think all three of those things should be worked on or explored. But definitely, I think the most important thing is horsepower, based on what the drivers are saying.
I think the horsepower can go a long way, but I think the downforce can't be tweaked as much as I think it is. I think at this point, with how the car is and how the car is designed, you'd basically need a new car to they're significantly wider than when we had 5 lugs and the Steelies, right? And if we just make them like 3/4, three quarters of what they currently are, or maybe like 7/8 of what they are, I think you can drastically improve the racing product. I mean, we could see it with the wet tires at North Wilkesboro in 23, and even like any time we ran the Wayne tires ever at the short tracks, it made a huge difference when they had less grip or less of a contact patch, which in essence goes back to less grip. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just changing tire size. I think that's the best short-term fix. Long-term fix would be horsepower, and an even longer-term fix would be a new race car completely.
Yeah, I think they should go back.
I can't hear you. This is weird.
You can't hear me?
It's on my end. Hold on. It's fine. I fixed it.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Well, I definitely agree with you with the tires. I think, those old deep dish rims look better. They race better. I mean, obviously, like you got to think about like cutting tires and stuff. But honestly, with the composite bodies, I don't think that's going to be the biggest issue, anyways. So, I definitely agree with you with the tires. And also, I mean, I know that there's some marketing issues with Goodyear and everything too.
Yeah. You said marketing issues?
Yeah, like just publicity and making sure that they don't go to too soft of a tire, which could create a disaster race like the Brickyard or Texas in 22.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think the compounds are too much of the problem. I think, like I said, it's just the tire width. The the thinner we make the tires, the less grip people have. I think I completely understand the perspective of Goodyear that they need to make a durable tire, and I don't think like I said, the compounds aren't the problem. Um, I think it's just like I said, the tire widths I think are a bigger issue, and then also, um, I also hate these. I think they're 18-inch wheels. I think that's another bigger problem because I don't believe there's enough space to make an inner liner there, and that explains why every time you have a flat spot, you have to get towed and you lose a lap or two. That's not really something that we've ever had a problem with, and it's not something we should have a problem with. I've also been of the belief that um I also believe lower series should help you prepare yourself for the Cup Series, which I think, especially when this car is a complete 180 from what the lower division cars are, it kind of makes everything in the lower divisions um kind of, I wouldn't say irrelevant's the right word, but kind of reluctant to do them in the first place. Obviously, you need places to develop and stuff, but I think I just think it's silly that you say you win an Xfinity title, you're a pretty good driver in the Xfinity series. Now you have to come here and relearn a car that's completely different. I've always been a
Yeah.
believer. I'm not the only one here who believes this, but I think the best thing that we could do for the Cup Series is take the Xfinity car and just add some horsepower to it, and that would be your perfect Cup car. That way, you could have a consistent flow of development, like anybody who develops in the lower divisions can actually apply the things that they learn to the Cup Series, as opposed to learning something that's a completely different beast. I also think that making the car sequential and the single legs kind of loses a lot of its soul and a lot of the identity that NASCAR has built up. I think that's what made it unique with 5 lugs and everything. But I mean, we're 3 years into this car. I think whether I think this is better or not is irrelevant. I think they've already spent too much money developing this car, and the teams have spent way too much money buying parts for this car. Some people more than they should, given the quality control issues over the years.
Yeah, I agree with you about the Xfinity part. I mean, that's the best product we got in stock car racing right now. And I mean, as far as the Gen 7 car goes, like, it's a completely different skill set. Definitely, you can have a case for it being irrelevant. I think there's some crossover. I mean, you have people like Carson Hocevar. He's able to do it. But some people like Ty Gibbs, I mean, he can run good, but he's not really what he was in Xfinity and ARCA. And I think it's not something to panic about because probably NASCAR is already working on the Gen 8. And they're taking notes right now. And I think it was a good direction. It's going to a more modern looking car with a little bit more technology. I like the old school, the H pattern and, those deep dish rims and old school steel bodies and everything. But I think for the steps going forward, I think NASCAR made a pretty good effort with the Gen 7. And I think going forward, maybe we might get something a little bit like an Xfinity with more horsepower, but maybe incorporate some of the stuff that the Gen 7 has worked with, I guess.
Yeah. I think another small issue for me is the layoffs that we had, laying off a lot of the fabricator guys that we used to make chassis and stuff. I think that put a lot of those guys out of a job, and it hasn't been a cost cutting measure because that's a bigger thing. That's why NASCAR did this whole section as well. They wanted to reduce cost of race teams, but if anything, it's made it worse. But yeah, no, I can't disagree. I can't say I hate all of this technology in the next gen. I like the idea of the rear view mirror cameras. That's not an inherently bad thing. I'm not big on the sequential, but I mean it could be worse. We could have paddle shifters, and I think it would definitely lose a lot more soul with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think
We
the
need
bigger thing is
clutches.
just, yeah.
Bring
I think
back
the biggest thing,
clutches.
I agree. The biggest thing I think that we need to fix though is definitely quality control because we can't sit here and and force teams to spend exuberant sums of money just to have the parts that they didn't even make fail, or just fail like that out of something that's out of their control, like Harvick and Darlington in 22, or like people's powering steering systems failing at road courses and stuff. I think it's interesting that you mentioned NASCAR is working at it. But I think in the words of Harvick, fresh off of his crappy ass parts interview from Darlington, I remember him talking about um how all the smart people within the industry all work for race teams. So I'm not gonna sit here and discredit NASCAR engineers because I'm not an engineer yet. Right? I think everybody's worked hard to where they're at, but I believe we should definitely be looking more towards the engineers, the vice presidents of all the race teams, and whether it's race engineers, crew chiefs, especially drivers as well, since they're the ones piloting these things as well. But
Dude,
yeah,
when you get up there, you get up to Charlotte, make us proud. Do us some good up there.
we'll see what we can do, man. You just gotta take it a day at a time. And just you gotta appreciate the journey, as well.
Yeah. I got faith in you, man. All right.
Appreciate it.
Let's move on to. Going to go past the Kyle Larson part, and we're going to go over thoughts on the Xfinity and truck season. I already touched on how I believe Xfinity is the best series right now, parity-wise, story-wise. But honestly, I think Xfinity has been a little bit a little dirtier, especially if we look back to Martinsville. But parity is better, in my opinion, now that Custer and Nemechek are gone. Trucks, on the other hand, I mean, honestly, they're giving Xfinity a run for their money, honestly. But I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that Heim isn't winning everything, because he definitely could. He's just had bad luck, or just, some incidents happen. But Trucks is so much better this year. In fact, some of the most fun I've had watching NASCAR this year has been Trucks, honestly.
I can't disagree. I think trucks, they definitely cleaned up their act. They definitely got a stern talking to, deservedly so. There's a lot of issues, and I don't think it's perfect. I think there's still some problems, but I think it's putting up a decent show this year. Same for Xfinity. Yeah, I think Martinsville was a really tough look on the sport, at least for the Xfinity series. Even as a guy who likes Sammy Smith, it's I can't really sit here and defend that move that he did, but I like what Dale Jr. said. You just gotta give you just gotta prove him wrong eventually. And I think Sammy Smith definitely has the talent. We've seen it in the lower divisions about it. So yeah. Outside of that though, I think this racing's been well. I think we still have some other problems though with some drivers in the Xfinity series. Who probably shouldn't be there and are causing mayhem. So I'm sure you have a name in there in mind. You may or may not have said it.
Is it not Chris Wright?
It was. I was just
okay.
I was being nice. Or I was trying not to be
Trying to be nice.
I was trying to be as upfront about it.
Dude, I like the spicier, the more fiery opinions that you have, the better. I think definitely Chris Wright. Chris Wright's like Cody Ware, in my opinion. Shouldn't even be on track.
That's fair. I just like to be respectful of everybody because most of these guys have. I'm not gonna sit here and say that. I'm not gonna sit here and say I could do better than those guys because I think there's so much. It takes so much to get there, but yeah, it's a tough look when people perform consistently like that.
True.
I don't think Chris Wright, and maybe Chris Wright's not that bad of a guy, but it's a tough look when you keep on getting promoted, and there's not much results to show for it. I know a lot of people like to make a similar case for Dean Thompson, but yeah. I'm a bit indifferent towards Dean Thompson. I can't sit. I know this is really silly, but he had a good run in Charlotte, and I don't believe just because you had one good run at Charlotte means you're going to be a good driver. But I think him running decent in that Tricon truck at Charlotte, I think it was last year or a year or two ago. I think it shows there's potential there. It's just a matter of being able to harness it, and I think I can say that for most of the people in the garage. I think every driver who's had some success in the lower divisions has proven that they have the potential to succeed. It's just a matter of being able to harness it with the right group of people. This is why I think it's so hard to judge people like Eric Jones or John Hunter Nemechek. I know a lot of people gave John Hunter Nemechek crap last year, and I think it was hard to defend him. But I mean, look at him this year. I mean, sure, you can argue some of his runs have been lucky, and maybe you can argue, oh, the aero block this or track position that. But I mean, he's outscoring Eric Jones, and he was behind him last year when Jones missed 2 races. Not a knock on Eric Jones either, obviously. You know, he's also a very phenomenal driver, but I think just a lot of these guys aren't as bad as people on social media and people, even the media, portray them as. I think a lot more respect needs to be put on most of their drivers' names.
Yeah, John Hunter Nemechek is going somewhere. I am like really looking at this guy. Kansas and what was before that, Texas, and
He got a top 10 there as well.
Yeah, 2 in a row, and then he raced his way into the All-Star race. Man, it's it's the All-Star race, and he was in the Open, but still, dude, guy's on a roll, man. I mean, I think that's awesome. I think Eric Jones, I don't know if it's the back injury or what, I don't know, but I think that's a talking point too. I'm an Eric Jones believer. Eric Jones is one of my favorite drivers. I love Eric Jones, but I got to ask some questions. Like, why do you think he's not running as well?
I haven't paid too much attention to Legacy Motor Club this year. I'm not gonna lie to you. Maybe there's some personnel change behind the scenes. I don't know. I would have to probably look if like he had a crew chief change or something. I know we can't just attribute everything like to personnel change this, personnel change that, because some drivers are able to adapt to that than others. But I don't know. I don't really have an answer for it, because I think the best person who can answer that is Eric Jones, and I'm sure he's going to bounce back. I mean, he was phenomenal back in the day, and I know I can't say back in the day, but because it's like, oh, you're relying on the past, you're letting nostalgia like dictate what you believe. But I mean, no one goes out and becomes so successful in the lower divisions and struggles. Actually, that's actually a side talking point. Actually, that's a tangent right here. With personnel and lower divisions champions. For in the case of Martin Truex Jr., he was always a good driver. Everyone saw it, but we never really got to see him. Or not everyone saw it. I'm gonna be honest. When I was a kid, I just thought he was just whatever. Especially in 2014, his first year at Furniture Row, it was a rough year. But seeing him and Cole Pern click really well in 2015, and for the years after that, it shows how much a team, personnel, the guys around you, engineers, crew chiefs, car chiefs, pit crew, everything has to go well in order to be successful in the Cup Series. We can never just scapegoat the driver, and there's not really any scapegoat. Sometimes you just work better with other environments. It's the same thing you see in football. It's the same thing you see in soccer.
Yeah, I mean, not too long ago, Rodney Childers leaving Spire. I mean, everybody would think that's a match made in heaven. I mean, anybody would want Rodney Childers. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And another interesting thing, I noticed Busch Series / Xfinity Series champions tend to be late bloomers. Like, look at Harvick. Hear me out here. Look at Harvick. He won his Busch Series championship in 2001. He didn't win his Cup Series title until 13 years later. Truex won back-to-back Xfinity titles and didn't win his title. He won back-to-back Xfinity titles in 04 and 05 and didn't win his Cup title to 2017. Although it's not it's a very, obviously it's not a perfect thing. It's not a perfect system, obviously. But William Byron, he hasn't won a title yet, and he's been successful. Look at Greg Biffle. I understand the higher divisions are harder, but Greg Biffle never won a Cup title. Dale Jr. never won a Cup title, and they were really successful in the lower divisions. Some people just need the right personnel, or in some cases, right circumstances to go right. Dale Jr. Unfortunately had a lot of concussions, which I think certainly derailed what would have been a much more successful career. Not to say it wasn't successful. But
do you think he'd still be racing in Cup, or when do you think he would have retired if he didn't have the concussions?
If he didn't have the concussions, bro, I think he would have retired by 2018-19. He would race at least 3 to 4 more years. Because I think right now he's 40. He I think it's a crazy stat line. Like I think last year he finally surpassed the amount of time that Dale had actually his father had actually lived, which I think is crazy to think about. That he's
What?
lived long, he's 40. I think he's past 40. And he's closer to 50 now actually, or I think he is 50.
He is 50. Yeah, he turned
Yeah.
50 last year.
So I think I could definitely see him retiring probably like 5 years ago at this point because especially to start a family with Amy and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think everything. I mean everything's panned out. I think well for him regardless. I think I have a lot of respect for him, even if a lot of people like to view his cup career as poor. I think he's a
What? 26 races. Nearly won a cup championship in 04. What? Who could say?
I know a lot of people like to think he was just. It's like I think it's easy to judge right now, but I remember when he was at Hendrick in the mid 2010s. Sure, he was popular, but a lot of people were like, "Why is he here?" He went like on a 3-year drought, and although he definitely showed consistency at times, it's still compared to the standard that he was set to in his early DEI days. It's I guess people can see it as disappointing. They never got to reach the success that he looked like he was going to hit.
Yeah.
But again, I think he's a successful guy. I view him as successful, in my opinion.
All right. I do agree with you on that one. So very quick rapid fire. Let's talk about certain drivers. Any driver you want to talk about, or other motorsports. What I've got down here is I think watching the Cars Tour on FS1 was really fun. I think right now I really want to get in a Cars Tour. I thought just seeing the personalities and the different type of people and the people and the stories that were developing, I thought was really cool. Like, for example, I didn't even know Keelan Harvick was racing in late models already.
I didn't know you were racing the Car Tour. That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was awesome. And then I think the person that finished second in the Cars Tour race, I was watching with my dad, and we saw who was running second, and it said underneath the name 14 years old. Like, what? So I thought that was super cool. I was like, let's go, a 14-year-old. Like, you gotta root for that guy. I don't remember who he was. I should look that up, maybe follow him in his career, but that was cool.
You know what's disappointing for me that you mentioned the 14-year-old?
Mm.
It reminds me of seeing a photo of Jeff Gordon and his son Leo. His son is 14, and he has yet to step foot in a race car.
Dude, when they were younger, like when they were like toddlers, they were doing go-kart stuff. But I guess for whatever reason, they don't want to do it.
So I suppose so. I mean, I can respect it. I mean, as long as I think the most important thing is as long as Jeff supporting them in whatever endeavors that they want to achieve. I think that's the biggest thing.
Right. Yeah. As much as I want to see a Gordon on track again, that's personal and can't do anything about it, I guess.
I don't know enough about the Cars Tour. I think it's interesting to see. I think it'd be interesting to watch because I think you could see a lot of the guys, a lot of the grassroots guys, and you could see what most of the Cup guys grew up racing before on their way up here. A lot of guys did late models, but something that has always piqued my interest, that I think is more difficult to justify the price for, is World of Outlaws. I would love to see the sprint cars, bro. I think there's nothing like it, seeing cars that make as much power as Formula One cars that are lighter than Formula One cars, and they're slinging around on dirt. To me, that's mental. That and IndyCar to me, and rallying like WRC to me are some of the most insane motorsports. I saw Oscar Piastri talk about it today, or I saw Rio on Instagram about it, where he was getting interviewed and stuff. And I think it's interesting that he talked about it. How he said that, he says IndyCar. I think a lot of guys like to talk down on IndyCar, but I like Oscar's take on it. He says IndyCar has his respects. It's just not for him, and he also doesn't like the idea of. I wouldn't say he's afraid but it's a very gnarly sport. IndyCar is. I think Oscar described it in a very and a very nice way. He said, their top speed is around like 10 to 20 miles an hour slower than their average speed around Indy, which is insane. And the impacts are probably going to hurt a lot more over there as opposed to Formula One. They already hurt in Formula One as it is, and like doing it in an IndyCar would be the hits get a lot harder because the speeds are a lot higher. Even the average speeds, it's insane. And I just think it was really nice to see a Formula One driver speak of IndyCar in such high respect, because I've seen other people, I'm not going to name many names, but I've seen other people talk down on it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that. I think Piastri is probably one. I think he's my favorite in F1, and that makes me think even higher of him. And I mean, I gotta agree. Like, I think drivers in sprint cars, Indy cars, like you said, WRC, Pro 4 truck racing, I think are some of the most extreme motorsports. And I mean, IndyCar, I think you have to have more skill to drive an Indy car than F1, just because in general the cars handle worse, and also they drive on ovals. So the disciplines
No
you
power
have to
steering.
get at,
No power
yeah,
steering, by the way.
and they're just not as optimized. Or I mean, the amount of money that goes into the cars is completely different. So I think any car is better in almost every way, apart from like just how big the fandom of F1 is. I mean, yeah, that's an argument for a whole different day. But yeah, I gotta agree with you on that, man. Shoot. All right, so let's see. As far as certain drivers to talk about, I really want Elliott and Bowman to win. I think they're definitely, like, as far as Hendrick goes, kind of lagging behind. And then I really wanted to talk about Ryan Preece, because I know you got some comments on that. Because I've always really liked Ryan Preece, and I was kind of losing a little bit of faith last year, even though it's SHR. But still, he was kind of lagging behind the other SHR guys. But I really enjoy seeing Ryan Preece run, and seeing like a modified driver be able to do as well as he has. I really like Ryan Preece right now.
I agree. I was a fan of him when I was still in middle school, dude. This is like early 2018. I became a fan of him, and I remember seeing him I remember being happy when he won Bristol, and um, I'd always been a believer. He'd been my second favorite driver for a good few years, but it was like I wouldn't say I lost faith, but it just seems him and SHR in 24 seems so bleak. I was like, I'm not even sure if he's gonna get a cup seat at this point. And I was preparing for like him to eventually go back to modifieds, but he got this new lease on life with RFK, and I think he's done pretty well with it, and I'm happy for him, truly. I know a lot of people still think he sucks. I have some friends who just like to give me crap about it, but I'm a believer. I wouldn't say I'm as big of a believer as I used to be, but that guy can wheel a race car, and it's nice to see a modified guy make it work.
Don't listen to it. Don't listen to it, man. He's the GOAT. And what do you think's going to happen with like the whole charter thing? I know that's
Lease charter.
Yeah, they're leasing it, and I guess who won the dispute? Because I know it didn't go to like a lawsuit or anything, but who like?
Oh, I forgot who won it. I forgot who won that dispute actually. Let me look. I can look it up real quick.
I thought it was LMC that lost it, and I think RFK kept, or not LMC. It was RFK, Rick Ware, right? Or no?
It's Rick Ware. It was Rick Ware. Legacy Motor Club lost out in court on Wednesday, and latest updates running their dispute over a Rick Ware racing charter.
Right. Yeah, because they were disputing over ARC. So RFK has the Preece charter until the end of this year, right? Then it goes to LMC, right? Or no?
Not sure. Hold on, Cone. I'm looking at it.
This year has just been insane with like the musical chairs, with the freaking charters and lawsuits and stuff. It's a lot to jump.
I can't hear you. Give me a moment. I messed up something on my audio. I realized the problem. All right, sorry.
Daniel Suarez sucks. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You can't hear me anymore.
My audio bugged out, and I come back to hearing something about charter and saying Daniel Suarez sucks.
You can't hear me. I'm just kidding.
That's crazy. Hold on. Let me see. However, let me see. Legacy Motor Club, won by 7-time champion. Rick Ware was attempted to wrongfully back out of a sign agreement to transfer a Rick Ware racing charter to Legacy. After allegedly signing an agreement, Legacy claims Rick Ware Racing is trying to I guess to take back the deal, or like as part of the suit, they filed a motion for a preliminary injunction as for the courts from Rick Ware. Yeah, so they voted against it. So Rick Ware Racing keeps their charter.
Okay. But
Yeah,
so
just
Legacy is
Rick
not.
Racing keeps their charter.
Okay. Well, so the whole deal with Legacy is
Oh no,
just gone.
wait, I can't hear you again. All right, now it works. Now that's weird.
So the whole deal with Legacy, they're just not getting a charter anymore.
They're not just getting a charter, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think that's good for Priest, right?
I don't know, bro, because the charter's still leased, but given Keselowski's performance this year, obviously he's run well certain races. It's kind of like Kyle Busch. It's kind of sad. However,
Yeah.
the Gordon fan in me, the 11-year-old in me, man, is kind of feasting. I'm not gonna lie, or the 10-year-old, I guess, because I was 10. I was 10 when that happened, and call me petty. Maybe I am petty, but dang, I don't feel as bad. I felt more bad for seeing Kyle Busch fall than Keselowski, but obviously, I
Yeah.
still you still gotta you still gotta respect the driver and all their achievements. But I mean, if this performance keeps on going, I think Brad is gonna reassess if he still should be driving 6 car. But I could totally see them keeping Priest around, even if the charter lease goes awry, and eventually they could once Brad moves out, once Brad retires and goes full time owner duty, they could bring him back into the six. I could totally see that happening, given his performance has been solid, providing that he can keep this up. Because I mean, let me look it up right now. He's like top 20 in points. He's not even the worst running RFK car. I
Yeah.
think, dude, because of the penalty, I think he is outrunning Chris Buescher, and in fact, he is. Chris Buescher's 26 points. That's a lie. He's 27 points behind Ryan Preece with the penalty, but still, Preece is 15th in points right now.
Yeah. Honestly, I could see Brad Keselowski running like a part time, like maybe he runs the 500 or maybe the Coke 600, kind of like what Jimmy's doing, or Truex, kind of.
Makes sense.
Well, let's see. All right. Another thing I got in here is Tony Stewart winning the Top Fuel race. I think in the ballpark of some of the greatest drivers ever. I mean, Tony Stewart's got to be in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think I forgot how many IRL championships he won. I think he won at least one, I believe. So that's when, like, in the middle of the nasty kart IRL split, he won a few IndyCar championships. So he's technically an IndyCar champion.
Yeah, 97.
I
believe.
believe so. He never won a 500 though, which is unfortunate. But I mean, he's got a few brickyards and very successful in NASCAR. Unfortunately, he's not around anymore. I think we definitely lost a great spokesperson in our sport. As much as I don't like Denny Hamlin, I think him as well, and Kyle Busch when he used to speak out a lot more. Now he doesn't speak out as much because NASCAR likes to find their drivers privately. You don't hear that from me though. That's allegedly. It's allegedly.
I'm just here so I can get fined.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Tony Stewart was an incredible spokesperson and really had not only I guess he had a lot of his self-interest in mind, but he also understands the fans a lot better than the Steves and the France family. So
yeah. Well, speaking of Tony Stewart, so we're going to move on to just silly season and driver talk, rapid fire. Try to go as quickly as possible with each thing. But first topic is SHR closing down.
I say Charles shutting down. I think it's very sad to see. I mean, like I said, I was just talking highly about Tony Stewart, and I'm sad to see him go. And I think I predicted I was going to be like, okay, Gene Haas's Formula NASCAR team is going to go back to what it was pre-SHR before they became co-owners. Give me a moment to close this door.
I mean, it kind of did, honestly. I mean,
it has. I'm not surprised. I think Gene Haas isn't known to run the best of auto racing operations. I mean, we could see that throughout the mid 2000s when he ran the 70, the 66, and a bunch of other cars. And it's on to Tony Stewart, a guy who understands the industry a lot better, was able to come in and fix the problems that he had, and got them a few championships. Him and Harvick.
Yeah, I mean, back when Tony Stewart actually went to the race shop, but I guess he's got a a wife and kids, and I mean, when I saw that he had a kid, I was like, Tony Stewart has a kid? That is just a weird thing to say. That's like
50. It's weird.
Cursed, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, SHR was the most interesting team last year. At least going into last year, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a cool lineup. These are some pretty cool people. And Spire to me is that team now.
And I think Spire's putting the performances that we expected from SHR. We expected them to bounce back, and we got to see some bright spots in Spire this year. Hocevar being contingent at Atlanta, McDowell at Texas, and even Haley at Bristol running top 5, running even second at one point.
McDowell at Texas, man. Don't remind me of that, please. That is some PTSD right there.
I'm not the biggest McDowell fan. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course,
to you.
I know.
I'm a bit petty. I'm sorry.
Dude, I just like McDowell because he's like the most goofy looking dude. Like he looks like he's like somebody that'd be on like Sesame Street or something like that. And he's like, I don't know, he's just a goofy, like happy go lucky dude. Like he looks like he shouldn't even be. He looks like your plumber. Like he'd be the plumber that goes to your house or something.
I can see that. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people were like, who would win? Who would win in the fight? Like, who would be like the best at fighting in the Cup Series? And a lot of people said McDowell because he was the biggest guy. And I just think it's so funny because it's like, does no one remember Suarez taking him down at Phoenix a few years ago?
I mean, I think, I guess if Ryan Newman was still racing, I'd say Ryan Newman. But if Austin Hill, the Cup Series would probably be Austin Hill. Could probably fight. As much as I hate Austin Hill, or well, not hate, but I don't like him very much. But I think he'd probably be the big guy.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So on the topic of SHR, Haas Factory team. Talk about Custer, Creed, and Mayer. Person named Custer. No show. I don't know if it's just the discipline thing. Same thing with Ty Gibbs, like the Gen 7 car maybe, or just Custer's just not cut out for it. I mean, we know how good he ran in Xfinity, and when he went back to Xfinity, and then 2020, obviously he won at Kentucky. He wasn't great that year, not too great in 2021, but maybe you could attribute that more to Haas equipment. So I think Custer's got a little more in the tank than people give him credit for, but then we got Creed and Mayer. I think they could win any week, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they certainly have the potential. They certainly have the quality of car, but I think sometimes the JRM cars and the RCR cars are just that powerful, bro.
Yeah.
I think that attributes to another problem in the Xfinity series. There's only like 8 Fords in Xfinity and like even less Toyotas, and it's like the good chunk of the field is Chevys. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think certainly they have. Certainly, Miss American when he's the proven winner, and I had the privilege of talking to both of them earlier this year at the Ford tent at Atlanta.
Nice.
But man, I remember telling Sheldon, I was like, I know it's rough, man, but he's got the talent, he's got the speed. I think it's just a lot coming down the circumstances, and I just feel bad for the guy, especially as a guy. Especially for me, it's like it's cool because. I'm 90% sure he's in NASCAR because of Robbie Gordon, because he used to do trophy trucks when he was younger, and then he got into, and I don't know, I can only presume it was Robbie Gordon because Robbie Gordon, although a hothead, he still has connections to NASCAR and to General Motors, which prompted him to go into GMS and all of that.
Yeah,
so it's nice to see someone from like such a different background, like trophy trucks, bro.
mm-hmm.
Gas in NASCAR.
Yeah, that's super
cool.
And
of course, like I said, Tim Air, proven winner. Certainly can get it done. It's just getting the circumstances right, ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Haas Factory team is more of a downgrade than I think we were thinking for sure. But the next topic is something that I know you got some words for, but Riley Priest or Priest. Oh my gosh, Riley Herbst at 2311.
Dang, I like Riley. I think I know he gets a lot of flack for being a pay driver, and I think there's some truth in that. But I think he's improved over the years, and I think he's not as bad as people make him out to be. Unfortunately, his transition to Cup has been rather rough. But I think that again, it goes back to the concept of relearning a completely different car, and I think that's That's the bigger issue. And of course, some drivers can adapt well, but I don't know. It just I think I think he could be doing a bit. He could be doing fairly better, but it's a steep learning curve, and I'm not gonna sit here and berate him for it. I don't think anybody should.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like Riley Herbst. I mean, I don't think. I mean, 2311 got the third seat, and I'm sure they're really enjoying that monster money.
I was told by some friends who know people in the industry that apparently I think it was can't remember if it was the Herbst family, since they own Terrible's, the gas station company out west, or Monster Energy themselves, but they actually were in charge of buying that charter. They actually footed a good chunk of the bill for the charter in turn, so they can get Riley into the Cup Series.
Right, and I mean, another thing that I think about though is like, and that's a good point, because I honestly forget about that, because like it's like a tiny logo on the C-pillar, but I think back to like Harvick forgetting that there was even a third 2311 car on the broadcast. And honestly, man, it's been so exciting watching Riley Herbst rise up. I mean, watching him win back in 23 and then last year too, running it back. That's been awesome. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah. Well, the next thing is Martin Truex Jr. retiring in Briscoe in the number 19. What you got?
Briscoe's a good driver. I think we've seen that throughout the lower divisions. I harp on the lower divisions a lot, but I think if you're able to prove at that kind of level, winning 8 races is not an easy task in any season, and to do it at the Xfinity Series, it speaks a lot. So, yeah, I think he's a good driver. I think it's sad to see Truex go, but I think he's just kind of fed up at this point, and I can't entirely blame him with those situations and the circumstances that he's been given. I think Briscoe's a good driver. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see. It's interesting to see how he's gelled with James Small. Let me look at him how he is in the points. I know that doesn't tell you everything, but
14th, I think.
I'm looking at the regular season point standings. So he's 12th.
Right. 12th in the Winston. Okay, yeah, that's really good.
It's slightly different from the Winston because it factors in stage points, and they're not giving, like in the Winston points, you would get 180 if you won the race, as opposed to getting 40 if you win here. So it's a bit different, but
yeah, regular season points, I guess. I mean, I'm a Briscoe believer. I really like. I mean, watching him win Darlington was one of the highlights last year, especially with SHR and everything. And but the thing is, I thought he would have won this year by now. Honestly, I thought he probably would have won 2 races by now.
I think it's just transitioning to from SHR, a very from what I've understood is they're a very differently run organization to Joe Gibbs. I remember asking about this at Atlanta for Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed at the 410. I was like, how was transitioning from, like, in Sam's case, to JRM to Haas? How different was that from that? And for Creed, it was like, how different was Gibbs to Haas factory team? So I just think it's just a very different environment that he's used to, and it's different when you're working for somebody you looked up to when you were a kid. In Briscoe's case, he was a big Stewart fan. And I'm not saying, he's not trying as hard because he's driving at Gibbs, but it's a transitionary period. I like to cut a lot of people slack for this kind of thing, because it's so easy to judge. You should always be performing compared to your teammates, but it's your first year, completely different pit crew, completely different crew chief, and sure, you don't really talk too much to your pit crew about feedback, but knowing those guys can go a long way, getting to know them, because at the end of the day, you're still a team. It's a team sport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he'll have his day. I think Chase Briscoe is going to be a Cup champion one day, and it's going to be in the 19 car. And I think the new Tony Stewart for him is Johnny Morris. I mean, he's got Bass Pro Shops on the car. I think that's kind of the person that he can kind of have that sort of like almost like for Tony Stewart, like that father son thing. Obviously, not actually father son, but sort of like a someone that Chase Briscoe wants to
have in his corner.
Yeah, and impress and do good for. Instead of SHR logo being on the car, you got Bass Pro Shops, and I think Chase Briscoe's still got that edge, man. I think he's still going to do awesome. I think my expectations, and I think a lot of people's expectations, should have been a little lower. And cutting the slack, I think, like you said, is something that should be done.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, I agree, man. So the next thing is, we don't have to really spend too much time here because I don't think there's a lot here. But Austin Dillon. Why am I messing up the names? Austin Dillon still signed to run through 2025. I think he should be in a management role, and I think him driving in the 3 car is really what's stalling that RCR driver development. When we talk about like Jesse Love and Austin Hill, I think Austin Dillon either needs to go to part-time or something, or retire. Because I mean, he's kind of a no-show. I mean, like you said last year or 2023, you said he's got his annual cameo. I think he's already made a couple cameos this year. He's actually been doing a lot better this year, but still, I'm an Austin Dillon fan, sort of ish. He disappoints me a lot. I feel like I'm maybe more of a fan of that 3 car, that number 3, but I want to believe in him, especially after the first year I started watching NASCAR, the 2020 season, seeing his playoff run. I want to believe in him, but it's hard, man. It's really hard.
Honestly, bro, I can relate to that. I was a big Austin Dillon fan when he was in trucks and Xfinity, and he was winning titles in that lower division. It's another guy that I was telling you about it. Winners of lower divisions tend to struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen the talent that Austin Dillon has. I think part of it has to do with RCR, but it is a tough look to be Austin Dillon right now. Especially when you see Ty Dillon, Ty Dillon has always made an effort to not solely rely on his grandfather to be in the Cup Series. That's why you see him at rides at College, Germain, and whatnot.
Yeah, Ty Dillon runs this year.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's bad of a driver. I think a lot of it is RCR hampering him a good bit. I think back to Richmond last year because I heard a rumor that when the JGR employee that gave information to RCR or whatever, apparently a lot of that information that they used was used for the setup at Richmond.
Yeah, that was.
And I think it's crazy to think about that. Like, given some of the JGR information, he was out there. Even prior to that, unfortunately that he did what he did to win. I think it's crazy to think about that. Had that yellow not happened, he would have won that on merit with just with like the JGR, with like some of the JGR leaks that RCR got. And I think I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's the next best thing, right? But I think if looking at that race and given the context there, I think he should be looked at a little bit more. And I think we shouldn't be asking so much about Austin Dillon. I think we should be asking more about RCR and how it's run.
Yeah, I mean, he was the best car that day, regardless of what he did at the end. Honestly, I mean, it's unfortunate that soured that win, but definitely the best car, and we definitely should be asking a lot about RCR. I mean, Kyle Busch had a real good start to his tenure there, but I mean, long term, it's not looking too good. I mean, we were kind of looking back in 2023 like, Kyle Busch is actually carrying RCR equipment, and we should look at Austin Dillon, who's been lagging behind and not carrying RCR equipment to where it should be. But the merit's kind of flipped now, and it's like, actually, maybe RCR is doing a disservice to Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch. I mean, we could kind of look back to Tyler Reddick, but Tyler Reddick is a phenom in his prime, so he's kind of an outlier.
On his day, he's phenomenal. I think it'd be very hard to argue against that. For reference, by the way, the difference between Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon's only 17 points right now. And
Really?
Austin's 21st, and Kyle Busch is 17th in points.
Oh man, dude. Well, I guess we'll get to that later on who we think is going to be the 16 because we'll have a little bit more time later. But do you think Kyle Busch makes the playoffs? I said he would.
Call me. This is gonna be. I think this is a very polarizing take. You either think he does or doesn't. I think he doesn't. I just think, given RCR and given how not much of his luck has changed, it's not looking too well.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's how I view it.
I think that's very fair. Well, another one to talk about is SVG. Do you think he makes it? And what do you think about SVG in Cup? I don't think he was ready yet. We all know why he's there, but I don't think he was ready yet. But he has had some surprisingly good runs on ovals, especially recently. I mean, we talk about Wilkesboro, and then he got a top 20 at Kansas.
Yeah, he's got 2 top 20s to his name, one at Darlington and one at Kansas.
Right.
I think Kansas is a lot more attributed to it being a race of attrition towards the end, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and harp too hard on it. I mean, a top 20 is a top 20. It doesn't matter how you get it. You have to be running to the end to be able to get it, so I can't sit here and harp on it too hard. I don't know. I just don't think this was the wisest move from Trackhouse's perspective. I think letting go of Zane Smith was a big mistake, and I think he should have taken that 88 car. Nothing personal on SVG. You know, there's a reason why he had success on his Cup debut. There's a reason why he had so much success in Australia. But there's still so much to learn with the oval, with the oval racing for him.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's he's dragging that. I wouldn't say he's dragging that 88, but yeah. Road courses. I think I mean, it just depends on how the circumstances play out for the road courses. I mean, we saw him. He ran well at Coda, but he didn't win. He beat Christopher Bond ended up winning that. So it just depends on how track. It's really just down to the circumstances of the race, and if Trackhouse has the good unload speed that they need.
Yeah. If we were to equate Connor Zilic into this, what does Trackhouse look like next year, in your opinion, as a big Trackhouse fan yourself?
This is tricky.
My opinion, I think what's going to happen is I think if the ideal look for this is Connor Zilic stays in Xfinity next year, SVG maybe runs full-time Cup again next year, but I think by 2027, SVG should run part-time with Trackhouse partnered car with a different team because obviously we can't do the 4 anymore, but SVG part-time, Connor Zilic in that 88 car, so they keep Suarez and keep Ross Chastain. Because I know a lot of people say, hey, Suarez is on the hot seat, but I think Suarez got a lot more in the tank.
I'm inclined to agree with that as well. I'm inclined to agree with that. I know a lot of my friends have given me crap for that Suarez is on the hot seat. He's going to get replaced by Zilic next year and stuff like that. But I know the rumor was running really strong early in the year, but I wouldn't say Zilic has stalled. He's still running extraordinarily well given his age and his experience. I think it's just circumstances, one thing or another, especially after Talladega with the back injury. The rumors have certainly died down, and I think I've heard them talk about how Zilic, like they're willing to wait another year for Zilic. So that kind of gives me hope that Suarez can stay at Trackhouse for at least another year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with SVG, but it's a really tough look to see him run as poorly as he does on those ovals. And I'm sure he has the talent to figure it out. But I just think I think we should be looking to replace SVG before we replace Suarez. Even if this year has been a complete downgrade and it's been a rather rough year for Suarez. As a Suarez fan, it's been a trying one, but at the same time, I like to view it from the perspective of it always being worse. And I think I have seen worse in my time as a Suarez fan. So yeah, I think he'll get over this hump. and it'll work out eventually for him. Maybe it's a bit biased, but that's how I view it.
No, man. I mean, he's had some rough moments, but someone else who had some really rough moments, especially last year, is Haley Diggin. Let go by AM Racing last year. This year, I believe the season starts in early June, but she's running Indy NXT. What do you think about Haley Diggin?
I haven't kept up with Indy. Well, I know it's called Indy and Indy Next, but I'm used to Indy Lights, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't kept up with her Indy Lights things, but I've heard from what I've heard, a lot of people don't like the Deegans. I'm not sure if it's I presume it's a character.
Yeah,
but
Hayden Deegan, I think, is real immature. Or Hayden, I forget which one.
Hayden,
but I think
a lot of people have choice words to say about Hayden. I mean, I don't know the guy, but from what I've heard, it's a very bad look. And I've also heard the Deegans. It's like similar to Brett Moffitt, that it's just someone that's difficult to their character is difficult to work with at times. And I mean, obviously she has the funding for it. I mean, if you don't mind me, let me actually go look at those point standings. I have the IndyCar out. Give me a moment. I can keep you posted on this real quick.
Yeah, I don't think she's in IndyCar. I think she's just going to run
Indy Lights, which is like it's like the Xfinity Series.
Oh, wait! The season's already started.
Yeah, it's been started. Yeah, she's.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She's sitting 19th in points.
Oh,
out of 25.
I didn't know. I thought the season was starting in June. Dang.
No, we're a good ways through. Let me see. We've done. They ran the Indy GP layout. They ran at Barber. They're running at Detroit, Gateway, Road America, Mid Ohio. I guess the season does get going in June, but like they do for every race weekend they do 2 races. So they ran Indy Grand Prix. They ran the Indy Grand Prix layout twice. They ran Barber. They ran Barber once, and they ran St. Petersburg.
Well, that's something to watch. I think she probably works better in something like a Cars tour or
for sure. She's definitely more of a stock car racer. Not so much. I don't think she would. I don't think it was the best move to go to open wheel, but
yeah, I mean, like what? What okay, you're not doing good in NASCAR Cup. Why you're gonna go to open wheel now? Something that's even farther out of your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to real quick just because I gotta put my short.
That's fair.
So next topic is now that we're done talking about the next Danica Patrick. We already touched on something. Cody Ware, Ty Gibb, Elliott.
I didn't touch on Catherine Legg.
Catherine Legg, man, that's a talking point because, man, I think she was running pretty good at Talladega, and in the Xfinity race, and she ran another race, right? Didn't she run another Cup race?
She ran a few Xfinity races. She also was in the hot. She was also in controversy after Rockingham because apparently she wasn't the best of lap cars. But I don't know where to stand on that. I don't think letting her make her Cup debut at Phoenix was the wisest move. I think we should have definitely let her go on a road course. And I think that's a bigger issue with NASCAR. I think Suarez mentioned that in his vlogs, and I think a lot of people saw that. He mentioned it in his vlog about it. I think there's a lot of truth in that. Catherine Legg I know Catherine Legg is a good race car driver, right? She has a good body of work at sports car racing. Has a few good wins.
Whoa! What?
What?
She has a good body. What the horny police? Horny police?
No, like body of work.
I'm just kidding.
That's crazy. Isn't that a phrase that people commonly use?
Yes.
Body of work. Yeah. So I was like, what did I say? I was like freaking out. But no, she has a good history in sports car racing. She's made the Indy 500, which is a very difficult task to do. It's not an easy thing to do.
Even though she sucks.
Okay, but she was in a Dale Coyne car. No disrespect to Dale Coyne, but they're not the most well-funded organization. I mean, for reference, they qualified 33rd and 34th in this year's 500. And it's not a
Yeah,
knock on the drivers or the personnel or the team. It's just the funding, man. It's a big part of the sport.
Yeah.
But I just think not letting her into the Cup Series wasn't the smartest move, and I think that she should be making more road course starts before she gets let on uncertain ovals, and
yeah,
especially as an oval as Rockingham, like the track that no one has been on in over 10 years. I think that wasn't the wisest move.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. It's super random. Phoenix. I knew a lot of people were going to be real mad about the whole Casey Kane thing. I didn't know it would be as bad as it was, but I mean, I was kind of. I'll admit, I was kind of PO'd in the moment. To be honest with you.
Fair. It's a tough moment to defend, but
Yeah, I mean,
it's such a different beast, dude. I know a lot of people. Stock car racing is just a different beast. Doesn't matter what experience you have in any other category. I mean, you can say this for every other discipline, right? Or every other category of motor racing. Say you live by stock cars, you go to sports cars, you're going to struggle. I mean, that's a general rule of thumb, but it's it's been really bleak for Catherine Legg. But I mean, you can also attribute that to the equipment she's running. But
yeah.
fun fact about Catherine Legg, she actually lives in DeKalb County.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
she lives,
Like
she actually,
where?
she, I
Decatur?
don't know where. Probably somewhere in DeKalb County. It's actually really crazy how she actually primarily lives in Georgia. So that's pretty neat.
Dude, that's my home, man. DeKalb County is where I went to high school.
That's crazy. More you
That's
know,
my
dude.
home. It's my home away from home.
Yeah, she lives
That's
in
awesome.
Georgia. Pretty neat.
That's cool, man. I didn't know that. All
I
right.
was told that like a long time ago.
Well, I hope that he is still here enjoying GA ATL. Austin Hill, as much as I despise him as a driver, he deserves a cup ride, in my opinion. And Roger Carruth, not really living up to the hype right now, but I think he's got some good finishes, and I really am a Roger Carruth fan. But I think a lot of his success recently can be attributed to pit calls more than actually his skill on the racetrack. I think he needs to raise the intensity a little bit.
I disagree with Caruso. I think it's been a bit disappointing. I think especially since he came out of the gate guns blazing with the win at Vegas very early on and just kind of disappeared after that. And he already had a crew chief change this year, and although it's done some good, but more often than not it has to do with pit calls like you stated. I'm not exactly sure where you could go from here. Um, I don't know what he could. I don't know where to go from there or how to evaluate it. Um, Austin Hill. I don't know. I know he has a win at Vegas, but how many other wins does he have that isn't Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta?
Didn't he win Darlington?
He,
Or no, Martinsville. Martinsville.
oh yeah, he has won Martinsville. You're right, and he's won at Vegas a few times as well. Do you remember that? Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Charlotte.
I want to see.
Charlotte one time.
I want to see. Maybe I don't know. I think the thing is, it's just maybe he has. Maybe he could be cup ready. I just think I would like to see him win more than just the plate races before we make a proper evaluation about that. And one interesting thing actually about Austin Hill is actually I've gotten to sit next to his family out during an Xfinity race once. It was actually kind of crazy. I saw their shirts and I was like, "Yo, you guys big Hill fans?" Like a bunch. It was like a row of Austin Hill fans, and it was just like, "Oh yeah, we're actually his family." And I got to talk to his grandmother, and his grandmother is a really nice individual.
Oh,
And I think their whole family seemed really cool. So shout out to the Hill family. They're really nice.
that's
Um,
awesome.
I can see why most people don't like how he races though, and I can't fully blame them. But I guess my view, my perspective was a bit skewed because I got to meet the family.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know why I don't like Austin Hill. It's like I think it's like a something in my head that I'm carrying with me, and I can't actually recall. It's something.
You know he's
If
from
I
Winston,
really
right?
thought about it. What is it?
You know he's from Georgia, right?
Yeah, I know he is. I know he is. Where is he
Okay.
from?
Winston, I think, or Windsor, one of those two.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
don't know.
Winston.
I just kind of just the way he talks, and I feel like maybe it was like kind of his relationship with Sheldon Creed that kind of turned me off a little bit. Because I was actually an Austin Hill fan when I first started actually following Xfinity, just because he was so cool on the super speedways. But I mean, I don't know. He just seems like he's kind of a douchebag. Like he reminds me of like a dude in high school who'd go and walk in the hallways and like fake punch you so you flinch. Like he just reminds me of like just a bully. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Maybe that could be. Maybe there could be some truth to that, but I'm not sure.
You're like, man, what is this dude? What is this guy on? What is he talking
No, I can see it. I can understand why people. It's I find it difficult as well because I'm a big Sheldon Creed fan. I know a lot of people. I know some people who don't like Sheldon Creed, but I like him a lot given his connections to trophy trucks. But yeah, I don't know. I know some people have had complaint. You're not the first person I know that have complained about his or what his character appears to be. But I don't know. I think
about?
if
Um, Corey Heim, what you got on? How you feeling about Corey Heim?
I love my Marietta boy, man. Go to school up there and seeing him. He actually went to Kennesaw Mountain High School. It's actually really cool.
Really?
Yeah. So
Dude,
yeah,
that's like right. That's like 5 minutes away from me. That's awesome.
yeah. That's he graduated from there. I don't know when, but he graduated from
Wow.
there.
That's a
He's
beautiful campus over there, man. Just in the shadow of the mountain. Just a wonderful. I go over there to go jog when I need to go run on a track. I'm gonna be running there all this summer when the kids get out of school.
that's fair. That's valid. But no, I like him a lot. I know he tends to be a bit too aggressive at times. I know a lot of people have choice words to say about that. Um,
Yeah,
but I like him. I think maybe that might be more to do with the fact that I go to school in the Kennesaw Marietta area, but I like Corey Haim, and I think it's cool to see him do well. Um, I'd argue, I think he still needs to. There's still some kinks he needs to work out, or some things that some issues that he needs to iron out, whether how aggressive he is and stuff. But I think he's a really solid cup driver and should be getting a pup right at some point within the next year or two.
yeah.
And I
13th
think
place.
wait, hold on, give me a moment. So you were saying?
13th place at Kansas. The best
Yeah,
2311 car that day. I mean, what
I think
more do you want?
I know some I know some people weren't happy that he caused a wreck that day, and that involved Bubba Wallace. And I heard some people contest that Bubba Wallace would have outran Corey Heim had that wreck
Yeah,
not happened. But it's all hypothetical. It's all coulda, woulda, shoulda. And I think a run like that really should put him on the map. It's similar to host of ours run at Gateway in 23 when he was in the 7, filling in for Corley Joy, who was filling in for Chase Elliott.
yeah. I mean, I think he should be at least uh, in Xfinity. But all right, so the next couple people on here: Jesse Love, Sammy Smith, and anybody else you want to talk about.
Jesse Love, also a really talented driver. I know a lot of people have made comparisons to him to Ty Gibbs, and maybe there's some truth to it, but I don't know. I haven't seen his interviews, paid attention too much to his interviews. I thought the one cool thing is I learned that he's half Mexican through his mom. Apparently,
Oh,
he saw something about that in an interview or something. So it's kind of crazy. Um, so I guess
just more.
exactly, bro. There's another driver for me to root for, man. As a Hispanic, bro. I don't care if you speak Spanish or not. You're Hispanic, bro. In my eyes,
What about Nick
especially
Sanchez?
Mexican. Nick Sanchez, he's also pretty cool. I actually have a shirt actually. Let me go get it. Hold on. It's a 2022 shirt from his Xfinity debut. Unless I don't have it in here.
So in that 48 car, who's better, Parker Kligerman or Nick Sanchez?
Um,
Oh,
I
that's
think
nice.
this is from commemorating his first Xfinity start at Homestead, since he's from Miami, since he's Cuban. Um,
Yeah,
I
who's
think
better?
um, I think I think it's a slight improvement, at least on the ovals. I
I
think to me, one race that stuck out to me especially was a Rockingham, seeing him run, fighting with who was in the 17 that race? I forgot. Was it Larson? I could have sworn I saw him competing with a Hendrick Car's car. I'm just trying to remember who ran the Hendrick Car's car that day.
Casey Kane did.
Casey came in 33, but I recall someone ran the 17, if I'm not mistaken.
Um,
Or did the 17 not run?
wasn't Chase Elliott running? Then Chase Elliott ran a race in that car at one point. Maybe that was Texas. I don't know.
I don't think the 17 ran this race, but I just remember. I think it's just him and Jesse Love.
Yeah,
Maybe
Jesse Love and Sammy Smith.
Jesse Love was the class of the field that day prior to the disqualification, and seeing him and Nick Sanchez duel it out for a good bit, I think that speaks. It demonstrates a lot on Nick Sanchez.
Yeah.
And I think I like Parker a lot, and I think he probably could have won the race, but I think Nick Sanchez has a lot in the tank that we have yet to see, and I think could be unlocked more if he gets put in with a better team.
Yeah. Well, what about Josh Williams? What you got on him?
He's still at Colleague, right?
Yes, sir.
I think me asking if he's still at Colleague tells you enough about how much I know.
Is he still at college? Like,
Hold up, my
I
dad's
guess he
calling
was
me.
sick.
I'm back. My dad was trying to tell me about the Penske's. Apparently, people were cheating. People were cheating on Pato or something from the Indy 500 last year. But I'm like, brother, I could tell. I'll explain to you about it another day. But that's beside the point. Yeah, back on Josh Williams. I think to be fair to Josh Williams, Colleague has taken a step back as a whole. I think with their new Cup program, it's been a lot more difficult to prioritize their Xfinity endeavors, and I think it shows with the performance of not only Josh Williams and Daniel Dye and who was in the Xfinity car last year? I forget. I think it was a first-time car.
Chandler Smith.
Yeah, Chandler Smith, and even Yarmonier last year. I mean, you could see there was a drop off, and it wasn't because they were bad drivers. It's just the situation of at hand with the cars or with step back in performance from Colleague.
Yeah.
I don't think this determines Josh Williams is a bad driver. I just think as a whole, the Colleague's taking a step back, and it is a tough, but it is. I mean, look how he is in points. I mean, if he's faring well against his teammates, I think there should be some more leniency on him. Okay, Josh Williams is 22nd in points. X is 18th and Dye is 13th. Shout out Daniel Dye, bro. A lot of people were talking down on him. He's actually running the best out of all the Collie cars.
Dude, I have a bad taste in my mouth for Dye. Like, he's definitely a better driver than people give him credit, but I just remember him grinding on top of somebody, and then the guy tried to push him off, and then he ruptured his testicles. Daniel Dye ruptured dude's testicles. Like, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth because, like, that reminds me of, like, some, like, immature kids from, like, middle school or something. Like, you're on in one of the biggest racing series in the world. And
that was great. Oh, you go. Sorry.
I mean, he's an ARCA, but he's in the headlines. He's in the spotlight. And he's out here doing stuff like that. Like, dude, grow up. Like,
I think
I know that
he was 17. Yeah, I can understand that. He's 17 at the time when he did it, and he's racing ARCA. He shouldn't be doing things like that. But I think I'm not gonna say I don't know the situation at hand, but I'm more of the belief that they were actually friends and they were just messing about, and it was just a bad thing because I think I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
but
the claim that they made. But
they're in NASCAR's pockets. I mean, you could go spin a story. Like, I don't trust it. Is basically what I'm saying, and
I understand.
That's just a bad time. I mean, I wasn't in high school that long ago. Like, I knew people like that would do that, and who knows what that other kid was going through. Now, I love to give a guy a benefit of the doubt, but still, I don't know.
That's fair.
It's
Obviously,
going
give
to
it the
take me
benefit
a
of the
while
doubt.
to warm up to him. That's all I'm going to say.
That's fair. It's kind of funny. At Talladega on 22 in the spring. I I saw Daniel die, and I was like, "Can you sign my phone case?" He signed my phone case, and like by the end of the day, the autograph had worn out because it was on my phone and the sweat on my hands, you know.
Oh,
But you know what's funny? 2 days later, he got suspended by ARCA because of that incident. So
oh,
I met him
wow.
before. I met him like literally right before the
That's
whole
crazy.
situation went down.
Pre, pre,
Free ball
pre
busting.
ball, but yeah, PB,
Yeah,
2 day PB. That's the
yeah.
new pre ball explosion rupturing. That's the new unit of time measurement we have to do. How many
Down to
years
3 days.
after the Daniel Dye ball rupture incident is how we measure time from now on.
That's crazy.
But all right, so let's go back to something we didn't get to do with Wiley when he was on. Actually, let me go. Actually, you know what? We'll do this first, then I'll check Instagram and see if he's got back to me. But playoffs. So the 16 that are gonna make it. So right now we have 7 that are locked in. That's Byron, Larson, Bell, Hamlin, Logano, Cindric, Berry. So give me the how many would that be? Math. Yeah. However many. So what I have for that 9 is Elliott, Bowman, Blaney, then Reddick, uh, Briscoe, as I've already talked about, Priest, Bubba, SVG, and Kyle Busch is the last one. I think Kyle Busch is. I mean, he's out for blood, dude. I think there is some kind of thing just in his psyche right now. It's kind of a crazy feeling. I almost didn't put him on here. I almost put Busher on there instead because I mean we got road courses coming up, but I don't know. Got a feeling about it.
I just think it's crazy that you put out of all the trackhouse cars, you put SVG in there.
Dude, I don't know, man. Mexico, Chicago, Sonoma, like, dude, I don't know. I got a feeling because he didn't win last year. He came pretty close a couple times. He was in contention at Coda. If things went the right way, he could have won there. Like, we know why SVG's in that seat, and I think he's gonna get a chance to show it at the least. I think I would have been sad if I didn't shoot for the moon and put SVG on there because I was originally not gonna put him on there either. Um, but I don't know. I got a funny feeling about SVG and Kyle Busch. Those are the only 2 guys where I'm like, I don't really know. Everybody else I'm pretty confident about.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit here and say I can agree with Elliot filling up that seat. Blaney, I think that's a given. Reddick for sure. Bowman. That puts me up to 11 here. So that we have 5 seats. Cause 7 plus wait, let me see.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah,
7, 8. Yep.
yeah, so 5. That's where it gets tricky. Cause I don't know, it just depends on the amount of winners we get. If like say SPG wins, that knocks it down to the top 14 in points, basically. Or like you gotta be up there, basically. Because right now, Barry is 16th in points. So right now, your goal is to beat Priest, who's technically 16th on the playoff standings. So, given that, um, I don't think Kyle Busch makes it. I just think RCR is just a dumpster fire right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, watch Austin Dillon win a race.
You know, crazier things have happened, man. So don't count it out.
Yeah.
You know, Chase Briscoe. I think Chase Briscoe can get his stuff together by the time the playoffs roll around. Um, I don't think SVG is winning this year. I know he ran well at Coda, but you know who was also running up there with him? Kyle Busch was running up there with him, and you know he ultimately didn't even win that day either. I mean, obviously, you know, racer, you know, things happen, but it's racing. But I just don't think fortune's on this side this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure.
so yeah, I'm saying Chase Briscoe. I'll throw in Ryan Preece in there. Um, so what am I down to?
So you got 6. So I guess
I
we
need 3
got 3
more.
more left.
Oof.
I think Priest is a lock, man. Honestly. What about Keselowski? You got him running any better this
I
summer?
don't have him winning. I can see him getting close, but I don't see
Yeah,
him getting in.
that's fair.
Unfortunately, Suarez has just not had a great year at all. He's 42 points out of the cut line right now, which isn't the worst, but
Right.
he needs like 5 top tens, 6 top tens, and has to bank on people in front of him not doing so hot in the upcoming weeks to have any chance of sneaking his way into the playoffs. So I just don't see that happening. It's been a brutal year. I
Oh,
said Spire.
so
I told you. Where did I leave you off at?
so we're at 6.
Oh yeah, I said for 3 more. Okay. I said one of the Spire guys I think is going to squeak their way in, and I think it's going to be Hocevar. Although McDowell and Hocevar are very evenly matched.
Dude, I was so
Um,
close to putting Hocevar in there instead of Bush. So close.
I think Chris Buescher. I think Chris Buescher could be that could squeak his way in as well. Even with the points penalty, I think he'll be all right. And that leaves me with the one Ross Chastain. I think it could be that could be like that last spot. Wait, did I mention Reddick? No, I did mention Reddick. I think that last spot's gonna be a toss up between Ross Chastain and Bubba Wallace. But I think Ross Chastain
Yeah.
is gonna eke one out.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to not put Bubba on there, but he's been kind of on a downward trend past couple races, especially when we were considering Texas and Kansas are some of his best tracks. And coming up, we have some really not good certified Bubba Wallace bad races coming up.
Yeah.
So that's fair. I don't remember if you said Reddick, but I guess when I
I did
watch
say
it back,
Reddick.
we'll figure it out. Okay, you did? All right.
I believe I did because because he's ahead of Bowman in points. So yeah,
Yeah.
because we got up to 11 and Bowman's 11th and he's 10th. So yeah,
Right.
I do
Well,
that.
I guess we're getting close to the closing wrap up area, and I really wanted to take a look back at our Daytona 500 Clash picks from 23 or 424, and I think I said Elliott. I want to say, or
I don't
no,
remember my Clash picks.
somebody said
No, we made Clash picks for 20. We made Clash picks.
Four.
Wait.
Yeah,
Oh
for
yeah, you're right.
24. One of us said Elliott, one of us said Hamlin, one of us said Jones. I think I said no. I think Wiley said Jones. I think I said Elliott. You said Hamlin. I want to say.
Did I say Hamlin?
No, 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 no. I know what was going on here. I had that wrong because I was looking at the Daytona 500 thinking it was a Clash. I'm like, what? Byron did not win the Clash, but Byron actually won that. So Clash, we both said Priest. Wiley said Truex. The actual winner was Hamlin.
Winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then championship picks for 2024.
Oof.
Me and him said Elliott.
I said Suarez.
Yes, you said Suarez. Who actually
Honestly,
won?
bro.
Logano.
Honestly, bro. All I'm saying is Suarez had a similar average finish to Logano. That's all I'm saying. That's
That's
all I'm
true.
saying, dude. That's all I'm saying.
It's just
I think that just goes to show how silly the system is, to put it nicely. But
yeah,
I mean, honestly, bro, this is like Russian roulette, bro. You can honestly take a shot, and you honestly have a genuine chance at predicting the champion with
yeah,
some
man.
outlandish picks.
Like I said, like we said earlier, Cody Ware, 2025 champion confirmed. 2032 F1 champion Cody Ware.
One champion is crazy.
Yeah, man, he's going to be the Formula One president, the racing president, the president of racing.
The FIA. He's gonna be the president of the FIA.
Yeah.
Or the director.
Oh
Crazy.
my gosh, if that happened, like, I mean,
I think I have a better chance at winning NASCAR than that happening. So it's okay. We don't have to worry about that.
so the last, I mean, yeah, you actually have a good chance, anyways. I think, but
The Friends family is. I don't see the Friends family ever selling NASCAR. It makes them too much money. Sorry, you
right.
continue though.
Yeah. Well, Denny Hamlin had something to say about that. I think he would. But the last section is Motorsports Christmas. Who you got to win this weekend? Indy 500, Coke 600, of course, and Monaco. For Monaco, I got Oscar Piastri, my dude. And then for the Indy 500, I'm gonna have to go with Stingray Rob. Just kidding. Um, uh, I'm gonna go Kyle Larson. Screw it. Whatever. I'm going Kyle freaking Larson. That's a shot in the dark, but Coke 600. Um, man, I gotta think about that one. Give me your picks, and then I'll think about that while you.
My predictions for the Monaco Grand Prix. I think it's going to be Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's I think it really just depends on how the cars go about in practice and how they're going to set themselves up for qualifying. I think it's ultimately the race is going to be one on Sunday or Saturday. Sorry, unless there's like some bonsai pitch strategy during some monsoon type weather. Whoever puts on pole is going to win that race.
Yeah. But Verstappen's like the best in rain, though. So
That's true, but I mean, it was raining in 22, and he still couldn't pass Carlos Sainz for second. So,
right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For the Indy 500, this is going to be completely biased, but Pato Award, I need it to happen, man. I've been an award fan since 2018. Before, like prior to him making his IndyCar debut, I remember his IndyCar debut for Harding Steinbrenner, and I had the privilege of playing GTA with him a few times. Truly
Really?
awesome guy. Yeah, he went live on his Instagram. He was like, if you add me, I'll add you back, and I still have Madden on Xbox to this day. It's kind of funny.
Dude,
So, yeah.
that's awesome.
But no, seeing his 500 attempts, 2020 he was solid, running like sixth. 21 was running fourth. 22 finished second. 23 was in contention for the win up until the wreck, and then 24 was the race that stung me the most. In all my years of watching auto racing, that race stings the most today.
Yeah.
To date.
That was tough.
If we were off the air, I would say something else, but it was that was the biggest heartbreak. That's the biggest heartbreak. One of the biggest heartbreaks of my life. I'm gonna go on a limb. My biggest heartbreaks of my life, bro. That left me inconsolable for a good 10, 20 minutes.
Well, what about where he qualified? Where is he at right now? Because I know Larson 19th sitting.
Pato Ward is on the front row, alongside of Takuma Sato, who's starting second, and the rookie, former Ferrari driver, Academy driver, formerly someone who used to nationalize as a Russian before the Russian-Ukraine war. Now he nationalizes as an Israeli. His name is Robert Schwartzman. He's a really talented driver. He was part of the Ferrari Driver Academy for good reason. Finished second in the F2 standings in 2021 to Oscar Piastri, which I think shows a testament to his talent. Because being beat by only Oscar Piastri, that's not an easy task. He was a Ferrari reserve driver for a few years. Then competed at Le Mans a few times in the Ferrari 499P. Phenomenal driver, and it's crazy to think that this is his first oval appearance, and I think it says a lot when he says this was mentally the toughest qualifying that he had ever done, and I think that speaks a lot to not only how difficult IndyCar is, but also a testament to his talent.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I didn't know Takuma Sato was on the front row. I haven't been following the qualifying as closely as I probably should, but man,
he never runs full time anymore. He doesn't run full time anymore. He only runs at Indy 500 now with Rahal, but he does well.
That's awesome, dude. I remember pulling for him back in 2020 when he won the last time.
When he won, yeah, I remember that.
That was, I think, his second, is it, or third? Second, I think.
He's won two.
Okay, yeah.
Ironically enough, both times that he's won, Fernando Alonso was in the race.
Man, I'm like, Yeah, that's a throwback. And dude, Tony Kanaan too, man.
Yeah, he retired. He might
Yeah,
sit
that
for
was
Larson.
like last ride for him. But I'm honestly thinking about switching my pick from Larson, but I feel like I'm locked in. But I honestly forgot Sada was running again. But man, I kind of want to switch it. But we'll go with I'm locking in.
Okay, I'm looking at Paddle. We're at 1040, so my pick for the 600. I'm gonna go out shoot a. I'm just gonna shoot a. I'm just gonna shoot a shot in the dark. I'm gonna say Suarez. Maybe it's biased, but I've seen him. But he's ran well in 24 before he had equipment interference and finished 24th. He was in contention for the win in 22, battling with Chastain. Albeit
Yeah.
it was Trackhouse was a very different team then. I still will contest that he's got something in the tank and he's got something in there. I mean,
All right.
it's kind of funny. I hope he does well. I mean, that's me just hoping he does well. And that's kind of ironic given the fact that I didn't put him in my playoff predictions, but I just want to take a shot in the dark here. So hopefully it works out.
Dude, that's a good pick actually. Because I know Suarez. I mean, he's decent there. He's decent on all the big tracks. And I mean, I'm tempted to pick Larson, but I mean, doing the double, you never know what can happen, and I don't want to go and screw myself out of two picks if he inevitably doesn't win the Indy 500, because I'm not too certain on that pick. But I would go Larson if it was normal Cokes, if he wasn't doing the double. But I think what I'm gonna I don't know, man. I mean, if we're talking probably how this package is running right now, going with fuel, um, I'm gonna go. Because when you were talking, I honestly was not. I said I was gonna think about it, but I actually didn't think.
We're on a time crunch as well.
Um,
It's 10:41, so I just figured I'd let you know.
yeah. I'm trying to go. I'm trying to think because the Coke 600 is the big one. This is the one that you're supposed to get right. If I don't get any of the other ones right, I got to get this one right. Especially because I went and picked Kyle Larson for the Indy 500 and Piastri for the Monaco. So I got to get this one right, man. I don't know, man. I'm tempted to go Hamlin on this one, but I don't. I don't know if I feel good about that one. Honestly, who won it last year? Was it Christopher Bell?
No, hold on. It was I think it was Christopher Bell due to rain.
Yeah, it was. I remember. I almost want to say it again. I almost want to say Christopher Bell again.
And who won 23?
Um,
It was Blaney. How could I forget that, bro? And then 22 was won by Hamlin, 21 by Larson, and 2020 was won by Keselowski. Yeah,
Blaney's a good pick, dude. Blaney's a really freaking good pick.
Blaney's solid. Yeah, I think so. I'm just
But
gonna
I'm
go.
almost tempted to say Chase Briscoe. What about Priest?
I don't know. I think his intermediate speed's solid, but how did he run at Texas? I know it's not a good comparison, but it's the closest thing we have to this.
Kyle Busch? Ty Gibbs? Ty Gibbs has some big track speed. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I don't think Gibbs is gonna get it. I think,
JHN?
huh? Jay
John
Chen? No,
Nemechek?
I don't think so. No,
I mean, dude, Kansas, Texas, they're not too far off from.
they're not too far off.
I don't know,
Suarez,
man.
Kansas is a bit different though. I do remember Texas though. Suarez ran top 10 at Texas. That was nice, but honestly, I think realistically, I think Blaney realistically is the best pick. But I want to predict Suarez just for the sake of hoping he does well. More like a plea to run well.
Yeah, man. I don't know. This is like a really hard thing to pick because I almost want to say Busher too.
Just flip a coin. Just flip a coin. Pick two of the best ones and then flip a coin.
I actually have a coin here, believe it or not.
Pick two drivers that you think are most likely to win it. So you said Blaney is a good pick.
I got a 50
Hamlin.
cent coin right here.
All right.
50 cents. And so heads is Blaney. And then the other one, I don't know. I feel like I'm feeling Chase Briscoe though.
All right, then do Briscoe. Then I'll pick
Briscoe tails and Blaney. Right. I said, wait, who did I say was heads?
Heads was Blaney. Tails was
Okay.
Tails was Briscoe.
All right. It was.
It's Blaney.
Yes, sir. All right. So my pick is officially Ryan Blaney. Great. Well, we've reached the end of our 2025, perhaps first of several this year. I think it's been pretty good. It's been a lot of fun, man.
For sure. I had a blast. This is like I'm used to talking about this kind of stuff. I'm used to talking about all this kind of stuff, but like never really express it in a much more of a formal setting, I guess. So
Yeah, I mean, we need an outlet like this to talk about it because, like, I mean, as racing nerds, like, gotta let it out somehow, right?
yeah, I have a good friend system that I'm able to talk about it with people. But being able to voice your opinions is also pretty nice. I think you also have to be careful when you're forming them as well, though, because you can't just be spewing stuff willy nilly. Especially a lot of it that can be seen as speculation, like I've done in some at some point during this episode. So, but it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, going forward, I really want to eventually reach the point where where I actually toy with like OBS and stuff and like figure out like streaming live. When we do that, we need to kind of button it up and make it more professional. And when we do, then we should definitely be a little bit more careful. I think we should still be, because I mean you're on it. But like I want to get the channel up to a place where I have like enough people where doing an actual live stream is worth it. Because right now what I'm doing is recording this, editing it, and then premiering it. So there's a live premiere. So it's like sort of live, but not really. But the viewership is not there. Like there's definitely like a following that could potentially be there on the channel. Like there's only 80 subscribers, but each video gets probably around like 200 to 300. I want to say on average. The first video that I put up about Cody Ware is just under 6,000 now. But if I actually regularly posted, because I haven't posted a video on that channel in like over a year and a half, but if I did, there's real potential there because the creator market in NASCAR is not as saturated as like say gaming or NFL or something. It's right for the picking, and if I can get that right, then people can start watching the podcast, and then doing live streams would probably be worth it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm also kind of disappointed. I was on my phone just now, trying to see how much views your John Hunter Nemechek video, because I thought it was a really nice video. Because you actually put out stats and everything, and I thought it would have more views. But it's okay. It has 134, which is better than most other videos actually, so it's not the worst.
Yeah, it's I think.
Oh wait, I can't hear you. Hold on. All right, try now. All right, I can hear you.
Man, I really appreciate that for one, like more than you know. But I mean, with the Cody Ware one, that one took a while to ramp up, like over the course of like 2 months before it got probably over 200. So like I still have faith in it, and also like I made it kind of shorter style, and maybe the longer style is better. I don't know, like the algorithm stuff. I need to research a little bit more into what formula is best. But I just need to post more, honestly. And I went through a little bit of a period where I posted some non-NASCAR stuff. And
I remember the Barbie movie video.
Yeah. So it kind of, maybe that was kind of what derailed it, maybe. But that's something I definitely want to work on, because I think there is definitely some potential there. And I also want to create a new name for this podcast. It needs something less generic. It needs something that's uniquely its own. So we still got to figure that out. Yeah.
Like we have the NWP. We have Robbins Racing, which from the Barstool guys, and we have the Dale Jr. Download. We have Door Bumper Clear. We have Actions Detrimental.
Yeah.
It could be. I think we should play on something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think. I honestly thought maybe the breakfast food thing would be kind of funny, but I don't think Wiley's really into it. And honestly, I think it's maybe a little bit gimmicky. So I don't know.
As well.
Yeah.
I don't think it would take off super well. As much as neat as it is, I don't know if it'll work out.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, it's been a great podcast. We'll probably maybe look at doing some more in the future. So stay tuned for that. It's been good.